see. That's okay. And then we should do... And then... Yes. We do that. We have another fun. Yeah, it should be fun. No clip from the race. Hype. But we will start with P1, so let's see how good that will be. Then we will also have it was Palmer, his name. Oh, god damn it. You'll... We will get to that, but Palmer from F1. Then, oh my god, what's after that? Oh, there. Yeah, James Walls will have him his verdict on the Australia race, and then probably F1 Nation podcast in hand. And that we will do in Minecraft is something that I didn't do a lot yesterday. That is placing snow. In this area. To make this a snowland. And I think maybe it will get some snow over there also. But that's a future problem. And hopefully more wandering trader will visit us, because I need more buckets, and this is the way I will try to get buckets in. Can't waste iron when I can get free buckets, and I have no villager that sell me buckets either, so this is the slowest, but for me the way I will do it. But while I'm placing snow, we will watch P1, our F1 driver ratings for the 2024 Australian Grand Prix. Let's see if they do anything good ratings.
Our
Australian
Grand
Man, that was bad.
Our
Australian
Grand
Prix
F1
driver
ratings.
This video is sponsored by the wonderful people.
No, go away. I already watched the ads on YouTube. I don't want to watch ads in the clip also. Go away.
Down. So Bath and London. You want to come and see me and Tommy?
No, I don't.
Get a little bit saucy on stage. That sounds
No,
weird. It's not that
go
kind of
away.
show. Not that kind of show. But you know what I'm saying. We'd love to have you there.
I
so
don't.
Link is all over our social media, and if you just type in P1
I've seen how the stuff you do. I don't think I want to see
live
that.
show as well, I'm sure it will come up on Google. Thank you very much. Right, let's begin with Kevin Magnus.
What would I say about Kevin Magnussen? I mean, he got points, but he's driving. I don't know. And mostly Hot's points was because Lewis Hamilton and George Russell were bad, so... I mean, I would say good.
Qualified 4th.
Oh yeah, let's see. It's a 10 to a 1. What would I give? 7 maybe?
14th. Started 14th, finished 10th. I'm going to lock in 7 out of 10. I think that he had a decent race. I don't think it wasn't as comparable to Hulkenberg, especially when you think of Magnussen starting a few positions ahead of his teammate. You might think that K-Mag might actually do something in the race and be a bit quicker than Hulk, but no, that didn't really happen. I did think if George Russell didn't bin it,
so more reason for maybe put Oliver Berman in the house next year.
he wouldn't have scored a point, and I would have given him 7 out of 10. So I don't feel like I can grade him an 8 just because George crashed on the final lap. Do you see what I mean?
I see what you mean. Not that I agree, because I've gone for an 8 out of 10. Got points. And
I really thought it was a modern trade, but it's just the llama that survived. For now. Yep. Time for a magic trick. How to make a llama disappear from the thin air. God damn it. Some more times and done, it will disappear. And the magic trick will be done. And hopefully this will not take long, because, man. This was annoying yesterday. Trying to have fun and then the lamps never dies. And I have fucking full. What is it called? Fed the falling, and you act like it's nothing to fall down. And that's also something I would try to do, maybe. Placing more snow in the water. And one day is a lot of ice. If you recognize the skin. You know what kind of ice place it will be. Where did you go? And where did the lead go? There we have it. Hopefully this will be the last one. Oh, and the man. Nice. And disappear. And then you fall on the... Okay, one more try. And then it will disappear. And if I'm not careful, I maybe the one that will disappear soon. Oh, Tommy gave an 8. Okay, so 7/8, and I gave an 7. Why is Haas first in the... disappear. Why? Stop being so annoying. Another, I would say, the only reason why it's so many mobs you can hear, because all the walls and towers I have made, they are mob spawners almost. I mean, there's no lightning between the blocks. So it's empty space in the walls, and so they can spawn. Oh, come on. Disappear. And then it lands. Okay, one more try. Man, also I would say that Ricardo and Williams could get points that race, and then Haas get points. That's so annoying. Like Alex Albon said, they shouldn't pick so early. That was not good in the end. Okay, it wasn't. It was better fall, but oh my god, why stop being so resistant? Make a sacrifice and disappear. Oh, I need some more food. And up we go for the 6th time, maybe? Maybe 7th time. Oh my god, this is... I wanna see him die by fall damage. I really need to make a place where I can just... When I need a llama to disappear in one try. Because this is just annoying. And also this is the worst place to try to climb. And then place snow here doesn't make it easier to climb. And disappear. No, it doesn't look like some new fishes. Or new, what can you say? Fishes that are not in my collection. Oh my god, how many fishes can it be? I mean, like, every color can maybe be changed. And there's 2 colors that can be changed. Finally, now we can go back to Places Snow and listen to P1.
And yeah, what a start for Haas. And
yes, but I hope this is just the start, and then they get washed and are bad every race.
it was a nice little battle with Albon. Thankfully, kept it clean and got some...
Yeah, Kevin Magnusson usually doesn't do that. for some reason because he's legit.
Well, a point on the board for Haas.
The fans gave him an 8. Nico Hulkenberg now qualified 16th, started 16th, and finished 9th.
I've gone for a 9 out of 10. It's a very impressive drive to be 9th and a half.
I would say 9. No, 9. I mean 8.
Haas, we will get on to it later in the year if Haas are genuinely quite good and this is a regular thing. But at the moment, it does feel like a win for Haas to be in up in P9, and it was a good drive. I think he was unfortunate to get blocked in qualifying because we know how well he can do. So well done, Nico Hulkenberg.
Well done, Nico. I've gone for an 8 out of 10. Yeah, a great performance from Haas overall, and 3 points is something that I don't...
Oh, if Kevin Magnusson haven't... Or Nico Hulkenberg haven't been blocked, he would be the one that got in... yeah, was it Q3 or Q2? Or whatever it was, he didn't get to. Maybe that would have made so Kevin Magnusson didn't get any point because he would have started low down. And that could maybe secured a point for either Ricciardo or Alex Albon.
I think they would have expected, well, Komatsu didn't expect anything at the start of the season, but they are certainly under, it's like a... Anyway, well done, Haas! Zhou Guan Yu qualified 9th.
Zhou Guan Yu. I feel like, I mean, I would say 5 on both Sauber drivers. Or Stake, F1 team, Kick Sauber.
Started from the pit lane and finished 15th. I have gone for a 5 out of 10 for Zhou Guan Yu. Because what are you doing, Stake F1 team? What are you doing? You look like a bunch of clowns. Like...
I mean, they are a gambling team. They gamble every time and they seems never get lucky with the rules. I mean, every pit stop is gambling. Isn't that nice?
Neon clowns.
Do they know how to run a Formula 1 team? Do they know that in the pits it's supposed to be the quickest pit stop possible? Bottas has probably now had a longer pit stop in the or combined longer pit stops for the first 3 races than maybe 2 seasons combined. What are they doing? It is an absolute disgrace. Of course, he had his car modified under Parc Fermé, then suffered a gearbox issue during the second pit stop, which cost Zhou loads of time. It sounds savage, but I'm absolutely sick of Zhou Guan Yu and Valtteri Bottas, 2 decent drivers. Zhou, in particular, is a young driver wanting to perform, but I feel like he's always hindered by stuff. So get it together, Stake.
Actually, true. I don't know if this was the first race for him, but I think it was. The car just... I mean, his first race he had a good start position, and the car just, no, you need to have a problem now when you start the car.
For a 5 for Zhou Guan Yu as well. It was all undone in the pit stops, really, wasn't it? So, shocking.
Certainly was. The fans gave... Have I said the fans for the last few? I can't remember.
Oh, yes, I think so.
The fans gave Nico Hulkenberg an 8. And they gave Zhou Guan Yu a 5. Let's quickly chat about our sponsor for this video, Square.
No, we should not. We should leave that 100%. Go away.
Main using the code P1. Valtteri.
Sälj din bil snabbt, tryggt och enkelt med Wheelaway. Erik skapade en annons på några minuter och fick in flera bud från seriösa bilhandlare. Han accepterade budet som passade honom bäst. Sälj din bil the easy way med Wheelaway.
I could have skipped it, but this is a scam ad, in my opinion, so need to play it 100%. Like, don't waste money.
Are we saying there's a chance that when we push that button...
At least we can skip.
Bottas, qualified 13th, started 13th, finished 14th.
What the fuck ever happened here?
I have gone for a 7 out of 10 for Valtteri Bottas, because I think he would have got points without the useless pit stop. I think he qualified very well for the neon dustbin, as you referred to them in the race pod. And he was actually running in P11 when he had his bad pit stop. The way the race ran, points would have been an option. He might have been up there with the Hasses. I can't really downgrade him for his useless team, so I'm giving him a 7.
Valtteri, I've gone for a 6 out of 10. As you say, running very strongly. And then the cross-threading the wheel nut and it rolling off down the pit lane. And I mean, it's just literally something out of a comedy sketch when it comes to their pit stops at the moment.
I mean, they are a gambling team. They need to gamble everything. Why stake join them for the gambling?
And the fans gave Valtteri Bottas a 5.
Yuki Tsunoda, qualified 8th. Start.
Oh, it's 10. 10 or 9.
8th, finished 7th. I am going for Yuki
10.
Tsunoda a 10 out of 10.
Yeah, high.
He is getting full marks for a fantastic weekend. I said this year I'm going to try, and Yuki doesn't have to score a podium in order to score a 10 because he's in an RB. He flat out destroyed race winner Daniel Ricciardo, multiple race winner Daniel Ricciardo, and had a pretty flawless weekend. 4, 6 points, whatever it might be. Yuki did a fantastic job, and it deserves to be commended.
It sure does. I've also given him a 10 out of 10. It is basically like a victory in Formula B, isn't it? Because they're never going to get anywhere near these cars
now, really, isn't it?
Well, yeah, true. Verstappen,
Red Bull, then you've got
everyone else. He's absolutely smashing it in qualifying. He's performing extremely well, and then he had a race to back it up as well. It's not why I support Yuki Tsunoda, but it is from a results point of view. I've kind of enjoyed the fact that he's managed to just string a normal race together where we've not really had to see him. He didn't really have to make any overtakes or do anything crazy. He just delivered the best of what he needed to do.
Daniel Ricciardo.
And the fans gave him
Oh
a
my
9.
God! Matt, please remember the fans. There are grades. I am still not used to this being part of driver ratings, but the fans gave Yuki a 9. Daniel Ricciardo qualified 18th, started 18th, finished 12th.
Daniel Ricciardo, I've gone.
Oh my God, he could have such a good race. 6 maybe?
4. A 4 out of 10. A shocking weekend, really. You look on paper, actually, and he's finished 12th. It's not shocking, like you should be getting a 1 or 2 out of 10, but I think it has justified the criticism he's getting because Yuki performed so well and has essentially finished, well, he's finished the race in 7th. So when you're a long way behind your teammate, and we're seeing a trend this year of teammates finishing 2 by 2, I think you do have to harshly grade someone when they finish so far behind their teammates. Disaster so far, and he's got a bit of pressure on him now. I think even Helmut Marko has said he needs to step up.
Yeah, I think Helmut said both of them need to step up, and Yuki's done exactly that this weekend. I have gone for a 3 out of 10 for Daniel Ricciardo. It wasn't even close in qualifying to him not exceeding track limits. He went off to Narnia and came back at turn 5, I think it was. Which ruined his race weekend, starting 18th. Good luck at this stage. And obviously finishing 12th, as you say, on paper, not bad. But who did he finish higher? The 2 Alpines, one of which had an extra pit stop to get something out of their brake duct for Ocon. The 2 Kick Saubers that had a collective pit stop time of 4.5 days. And then Gasly, who's also driving...
Okay, maybe not 6.
A track.
Oh, shit.
The fans gave Daniel Ricciardo 3 out of 10. Logan Sargent qualified in sad face, started in sad face, and finished in sad face. That's what it says in our document, so I'm going to read it out loud. Now we need to discuss what on earth we're going to do with Logan Sargent because Alex Albon stole his car, stole the keys, got in it, and drove around this weekend. It's either a 10 or an NA.
It's got to be an NA.
It can't be a 10, unfortunately, even though the fans voted a 10.
Quite amusing that he got removed from the driver of the day vote because so many people were voting for him. F1 fans, if you give them a troll vote, they will go for it.
Troll? How's that a troll?
Really? They removed him?
Well, because he didn't.
Logan sacrificed his seat for the good of the team.
Yeah, because at the end of the day, when we get to the final grades at the end of the year and our half-term report, or whatever we're going to call it, it is the average. So we have to take it as a Carlos Sainz, where, you know, you could say, oh, give him a 5, but then, you know, that could affect his grade massively. So I think it has to be
NA for Logan Sargent, poor bloke. Alex Albon, qualified 12th, started 12th, finished 11th.
I have gone for a 4 out of 10. Just to
Wait, what? 4? This I would say 6.
Cover it off. He finished obviously 11th, and that is a decent result for a Williams. Good result, I'd say. Probably, you know, if that's a normal race, I'm giving him a 7 out of 10. I think I have to be harsh here that he has put essentially his team down to a 1-car team, and also the whole criticism on Williams and all the pressure that he's put on his team. I think
this is what the driver rating and you rating what the team have done. That's mean.
He has to kind of suffer in the
Right.
Tommy grade, which I'm sure will be losing.
Yeah, you washed grade.
Loads of sleep over, but I think it has to kind of knock it down, because he's put his team in a very awkward and difficult position.
The team put themselves in awkward position, so don't blame him.
He deserves to be punished.
Okay, well, we're about to get
I mean, I hope you're really happy with the Russell, because he got punished because he was so fucking bad after Alonso, so you must be really happy with that.
saucy here, everybody. Ladies and gentlemen, put your seatbelts on, because it's
Or
time.
maybe really happy with washed Hamilton. I mean, you couldn't even finish the race. So bad. I mean, both the drivers didn't give Mercedes any points. That I really team let down.
For me and Tommy to fall out. I've gone for a 6 out of 10 for Alex
So
Albon.
bad drivers.
It's an interesting angle that
I
you've
mean,
taken
Alex Albon was close. I mean, you said it yourself. I love
there that Alex has put this on the team. What I would say is that it's the team's fault for not having a spare chassis. Yes, Alex has made a mistake, bottomed out on the curb, and he's gone in the wall. That is 100%. You know, that is his fault. I'm not going to downgrade him because Williams can't offer them a spare car, which is the least that they can, or a spare chassis, or whatever it might be, which is the least a Formula One team should have to do during a Formula One weekend. The fans gave Alex a 6. Esteban Ocon next, qualified 15th, start.
Oh my god, Ocon. Okay. What did he say?
15th.
Did he start 15 then end at 15?
Alex a 6. Esteban Ocon next, qualified 15th, started 15th, finished 16th.
Okay. It was even worse. I mean, that's interesting. You end the race for the with 3 people DNF, so it will be in the 19. Oh my god, 1.
I'm so
1 or 2.
so bored of how bad Alpine are. I've gone for a 5. He was unlucky, obviously, to have a tear off stuck in his rear brake duct, so had to pit again. He did medium, hard. Ended up in last place. We don't see anything of them. Ocon and Gasly still seem very comparable in terms of pace and generally probably being one of the closest driver pairings on the grid. And yeah, they're right at the back languishing, so I'm not going to give them any worse than that.
I've gone for a 6 out of 10 for Esteban Ocon. A cheeky...
Why? Wait, 6?
In terms of I'm so bored of how bad Alpine are. I've gone for a 5. He was unlucky, obviously, to have a tear off stuck in his rear brake duct, so had to pit again. He did medium, hard. Ended up in last place. We don't see anything of them. Ocon and Gasly still seem very comparable in terms of pace and generally probably being one of the closest driver pairings on the grid. And yeah, they're right at the back languishing, so I'm not going to give them any worse than that.
I've gone for a 6 out of 10 for Esteban Ocon. A cheeky...
Oh wait, I didn't hear what did... Fuck me. Okay, 5 and a... Why?
Extra point for making it into Q2 with that tractor of a car, which he was celebrating like it was a win, which I think was genuine, but also maybe a little bit of like, haha, Gasly, I got through.
100%. It's nothing to do with the position. Lovely stuff. The fans gave Ocon a 5. Pierre Gasly!
Why a 5? He will end at 19. Man. So washed opinion about Ocon.
He qualified 17th, started 17th, finished 13th.
I have given Pierre Gasly.
I mean, this is a 5.
A 5 out of 10, and that.
Wait, didn't you give 6 to fucking Ocon? Oh my god.
It is because it is the most normal, average drive. Really, you know, he's not done particularly amazing in qualifying, and while 13th for an Alpine sounds incredible, he only finished ahead of essentially people that had absolute nightmares.
I've gone for a 5 out of 10 for Gasly as well.
So like everyone else.
By the by, maybe. Nah, actually, screw it. Ocon gets a 6. You've absolutely you've won me over there. Sorry, editor, but I'm going to change my grade to a 6 for Ocon. But as for Gasly, yeah, quiet race. He was up in I think 8th at one point, but that was I think without having stopped, and that was probably had a nosebleed with how high he was up in an Alpine. But yeah, then fell away to 13th. So a 5 out of 10. And the fans also gave Gasly a 5.
Why?
Lance Stroll qualified 9th, started 9th, finished 6th. I have gone for a 7 out of 10 for Lance Stroll. Very quiet race, but a decent one. Gained a couple of places early on, pitted quite aggressively early at the start. Obviously then got promoted after Alonso was a cheeky boy and Russell was a cheekier boy into the wall. So that got him up to 6th, and yeah, I don't think it was anything special from Lance, but he'll absolutely take a 6th place, that's for sure.
Yeah, I've gone for a 7 out of 10 for Lance Stroll. It is more of what he should be doing, not finishing too far behind Fernando Alonso. Yeah, a quiet race.
Som inte bara tar bort mjäll, men också förebygger.
Sa du förebygg mjäll?
Ja, precis.
Men då behövs väl inte du, va?
Yeah, true.
Ha inte mjäll. Förebygg det istället.
Du, mitt kontrakt, det är vattentätt, va?
Med Pågens färska hörnekaka är sommaren bara en tugga bort.
Varsågod och smaka Pågens goda hörnekaka.
Hörnö, gör livet en smula godare.
Race from him really, but P6 is a good result for Aston.
And he didn't qualify terribly as well, so well done, Lance.
Exactly.
Getting to Q3, well done, sir. The fans also gave Lance a 7. Fernando Alonso qualified 10th, started 10th, finished 8th.
I've gone for a 7 out of 10. His qualifying uncharacteristic that he made, a mistake and seemingly damaged his car. Yeah, in the race, it was a good drive, and then of course at the end,
it was even greater. He made George Russell make a mistake.
Tactics, whichever way you look at them, I've looked at them as, I think it's cheeky and naughty. I think if there was a runoff at that corner and George runs wide, and it's not a crash, it's not even investigated. But that's that's.
But hey, the stewards didn't factor in the fact that there was a crash, mate. It says it in the report, which is mental because they did.
BS. Yes, it's absolute rubbish. I don't think it's like absolutely scandalous. So, yeah,
of course you don't. You're a Fernando fan. I've gone for a 7 out of 10 as well for Fernando. He was having a great race. Perez obviously got past him very quickly, but then he didn't fight Perez at all, and then utilised those 4 DRS zones beautifully. Of course, he also gained under the virtual safety car as well. And he was having a great race up until the point of the George Russell thing, which
it still was great. The suit is washed and you were washed. It was easily an
of course put him down to P8 in the end. The fans also gave Fernando Alonso a 7. Oscar Piastri qualified 6th, started 5th, finished 4th. I have gone
9.
for 7 out of 10. It's a low grade considering he's finished 4th again. But I also feel like there was a little bit left on the table. He made that mistake at the penultimate corner, which cost him a bit of time. I think he ended up finishing around 12 seconds behind Lando, as in obviously not finishing, because there was a VSC that came out which extended the gaps massively. But he was around 12 seconds behind his teammate come the crash on the final lap. So there was still a little bit left out there for Oscar, perhaps just struggling with that race pace ever so slightly. But still a very good drive. McLaren looking very promising.
I've gone for an 8 out of 10 for Oscar Piastri.
It's a 9.
A good drive. Obviously, you know, he was running ahead of Lando, thanks to the pit stop, of course. And then they did the swap, which I imagine is disappointing for him. But he is looking a lot more like he's on a better pace. Very slight mistake. I don't think it cost him too much, though, realistically. So yeah, Oscar's doing a very good job this year. I think he's looking a lot more solid and exciting driver indeed.
The fans gave Oscar an 8. Lando Norris qualified 4th, started 3rd, finished 3rd.
10.
I've gone for a 9 out of 10 for Lando Norris.
A 9.
Very good drive, getting the most out of the car, very quick. Probably has those thoughts in his head of like, why went McLaren competitive when Max has managed not to finally have a breakdown, or why couldn't his car have broken down in the many times last year that he was running second.
I've gone for a 9 out of 10 as well for Lando. I think that McLaren let him down ever so slightly with the strategy. I feel like P2 was absolutely on the cards. Lando was putting in a performance that could have warranted.
So the team did a bad job, and because of that, the driving was bad. I mean, if the only thing he could do with the information was third, then it should be a 10.
Him P2 rather than P3. So that's why I've gone for a 9 over a 7 for Oscar, because I feel as though there was, again, a little bit left maybe from McLaren's side for Lando. So,
oh my God.
Yeah, but still a great drive
so
on the podium. He said he's excited about the prospects for the rest of the season. McLaren, can they take another step forward soon? I'd love to see it. The fans gave Lando a 9 out of 10 as well. Carlos Sainz qualified 2nd, started 2nd, finished 1st.
Yeah, why? Because he was so good? No, because Max Verstappen did enough.
A 6 out of 10 for Carlos Sainz. Don't feel like he sang Smooth Operator loudly enough down the team radio. Didn't actually remember until his radio engineer came over there. Of course it's a 10 out of 10. Carlos,
why?
I'd give him an 11 if I could, because that
could be
miraculous. Clearly, whatever went on during that surgery, they've installed some upgrades. Carlos, I cannot commend his performance more. He saw the opportunity, he took it. Qualifying was where he won the race on Saturday. Charles Leclerc tried to win the race in qualifying many times and qualified brilliantly many times, but the opportunity did not come up. Carlos qualified brilliantly and boom. So happy for him. What a way life can change in the space of 2 weeks.
Yeah, I've gone for a 10 out of 10 as well. It's a no-brainer, 10 out of 10. It's funny that we mentioned Singapore in the race review and how that was such a banger and it was such an intelligent drive. This one was still a 10, but he didn't really... It's not saying he didn't have to do anything, he just wasn't under any pressure, but that was because he drove so well and was just managing the gap. Yeah, it just made it look so easy, and yeah, what a comeback, and insane to think that if we'd done...
Oh, will he still do that the next races, or will Max show how it's actually is
the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix? He could be leading the World Championship.
Magnificent. And the fans agreed. 10 out of 10. Charles Leclerc qualified 5th, started 4th, finished 2nd.
I've gone for an 8 out of 10 for Charles Leclerc, which may sound a bit harsh when he's finished 2nd on the road, which is obviously a very good result. And
1, 2 for Ferrari,
mate. What do you mean? Finished 2nd on
the
the road.
Off the road.
No, but you went to finish 2nd on the road as if there was like post-race penalties.
Oh,
or something.
right, no. Yeah, finished 2nd. He's going to be kicking himself with the qualifying mistake.
I've gone for an 8 out of 10.
I mean, would he really? It's not like he will not be able to win a race in the future. I mean, Norris could really do that. Because when will McLaren be that good that they can win more often? Ferrari can.
And as well, because sadness has just taken over here. How many front rows did he have in a row? Was it 7 or 8 he'd had in a row?
8 in a row, yeah.
8 front rows in a row. And the one time he doesn't, Max's car blows up. That is ridiculous. And the fans also gave Charles an 8. George Russell qualified 7th, started 7th, did not finish. Oh my God, this grade is one of the most difficult grades I've ever had to give. And I am going to give him a 5 out of 10. This is not
5.
Singapore last year, in my eyes. The stewards also agree that there were
I mean, it's the same mistake.
External factors as to why George crashed, although they did not take part any of that in their stewards' reports.
Yeah, lies.
They did not see the George Russell crash, apparently. Just to clarify. I do feel sorry for him a little bit. Alonso has chefed him, and chefed him very hard, but chefed him slightly too hard. It's sad, because George was having a decent enough race. He was outperforming Hamilton all weekend. I do feel for him. That's why I'm not giving him a 1 or a 2, but I am going to downgrade him a little bit, because
a 4.
He lost the car and crashed into the wall.
Yep, I've given him a 4 out of 10. So slightly harsher, but yeah, not Singapore harsh. I agree with you that
4 or 3.
It's not completely on his own made a mistake that has completely cost him a massive result. That's why I was so harsh on him in Singapore. This time, I think there is some responsibility of him. You know, he's crashed the car in that situation, but it is a difficult situation to be in. It's probably one of those moments where you could replay it many times, and I think it's probably like 50-50.
I've seen someone make a landscape to see where will animals go, and for some reason they're more likely to go up than down. So you see, you will, if you stand in there enough time, you will see animals be on the mountains. And I can 100% show around my place. That's true also.
If he crashes or not. It's a shame for him because
oh my God,
he's been driving well. Hamilton's been struggling, and George was on for a good result again, and it would have been quite the statement based on the race that Hamilton had.
Oh, Frank's not happy either, as you can hear in the background. The fans gave George Russell a 6. Lewis Hamilton qualified 11th, started 11th, and did not finish.
I have gone 4 out of 10. He, of course, retired from the race, no fault of his own.
He did a bad qualifying, out-qualified by Stroll and Tsunoda. And then, I mean, he was so bad, so the car gave up on him. So not a 4, that's a 2.
However, qualified poorly.
Everything
made a, he went off at turn 1 at one point, struggling. He just did not look like the Lewis Hamilton that we know throughout the whole weekend. It looks like he's really struggling with that Mercedes car. He'll bounce back. It's just a really poor weekend from Hamilton.
Surely,
not great. I've given him a 4 out of 10 as well, mainly because we didn't finish. I would have given him a 5, but then he wasn't having the best of times up until that point either. Hence the slight downgrade as well. Where he would have finished, who knows? Started on the soft tyres, which is one of the strangest decisions I think I've ever seen. Because
oh man, was it really so strange? You're starting bad, so why not try something new? If it's worked, it works. If it doesn't work, I mean, what do you have to lose?
They lasted.
Screams desperation, doesn't it, of them trying anything to perform.
It felt like it was a soft tyres, try and gain some positions and hope for a safety car, which, is that what Mercedes are now? Is that what we're doing here? 4 out of 10 for Lewis and the fans.
That is really what Mercedes are now. That's just the beginning. Oh my God, that's scary. Should I do something about this? Do I have my bow? No, I don't have my bow. Let's see. Need to get my bow. My bow is amazing. And I need arrows. I need some arrows. Man, I should... Oh, I have arrows here. But this is stuff I would not be using. 15. God damn it. I really? I need to have arrows somewhere. No. No arrows here. Oh, more pumpkins. Oh, more snow. Hi. So we don't need to leave yet. But I still want some arrows. Oh my god, here I have a lot of chests also. Well, let's see, where do we have the... Go away, go away. Fuck, golem. And then we... put everything back. That one should be lost. Okay, let's see. Do I remember the right order? Oh, god damn it. This way. Oh, I need to... God damn it. Yeah, give me more arrows. I need a lot more arrows. Follow me. Oh wait, don't I have a bed in... God damn it. Nope. Get back to...
And also gave him a 4. Sergio Perez qualified 3rd, started 6th, finished 5th. I've gone for a 5 out of 10 for Sergio Perez because it was a disappointing weekend, a really disappointing weekend, because he should and could and would have, had he delivered a good performance, been leading the World Championship. These are the moments where you go, Perez has to be there. He makes a mistake in qualifying by blocking Hulkenberg. Had he started third, might have been a different story, but instead starts sixth, a little bit stuck in the pack. Then when you get into the race, he loses a position to Russell at the beginning, and it just makes his race a lot more difficult. And then we hear that he picked up some damage passing Alonso. We don't know what quantifiably the amount of lap time he lost per lap, but still, to finish 35 seconds off the win, it's a disappointing result. This performance was a bit concerning, hence the 5 out of 10.
Yeah, I've gone for a 5 out of 10 as well. It is incredibly disappointing for Perez, because he would have been leading the World Championship had he done a good job, like you say. And this was his opportunity. Max rarely retires, rarely has problems. Hopefully he bounces back, but it makes me concerned that is this now going to be a pattern where he does start the season all right and then sort of...
No, men vadå pattern? If that's true that his floor was damaged, then, I mean, that would be a pattern if he make floor damage.
Slowly drops off and off and off and off.
The fans gave Perez a 5 as well. Max Verstappen qualified first, started first, finished for... Wait, that says DNF.
Hey Christian, do you have a life hack for hitting your fitness goals?
Maybe. I do. Instead of getting takeout when I'm in a rush, I make a meal shake. It takes 10 seconds and it's literally a complete meal.
What do you like about it?
It's really easy to prepare. I just add 2 scoops and I get all the key nutrients I need for the day. It has plant protein, fibers, minerals, vitamins, and I also think it has probiotics. And it's really affordable too. One meal is only €1.52.
And what was the brand again?
It's Plenty Shake by Jimmy Joy. It's really good. Go try it.
No, don't. It could be bad. We can skip it.
Unbelievable.
Is this real? Personally, I think that it should be an NA like a Logan Sargent, because, and this is from both sides, because if you go straight down the middle and give him a 5, is completely unfair because you're knocking his grade down enormously on the average. And equally, he's absolutely smashed everyone in qualifying, had, a thing through wasn't his fault. So if you give him a 10, it seems almost ridiculous, even though it kind of is a 10 out of 10 drive, but the guy's done 1 racing lap properly. I think the problem here is, like, it's a really difficult one to grade, and it does have to be like circumstantial, because if, say, Logan Sargent was winning the race.
Oh my God! How are you bringing Logan into this?
I know. I just love the guy. Say Logan Sargent did an unbelievable qualifying, and he got 5 laps into the race, and he was running like second, and his engine blew up. I think we would give him a 10, because you're like, well, what, he did everything he could, but in this situation it does seem kind of ridiculous to give Max a 10 when he's done 1 racing lap.
Okay, well, what we should do, right? We give two scenarios here, and everyone in the comments on YouTube can let us know, because we can't.
Whether it's NA or the vote we give.
Yes, so we need like the top comment and the top voted comment of whether it should be NA or a grade for Max Verstappen, whatever that might be. So if you are grading him up until the point he DNF'd, it's a 10, because the only reason he lost the lead was because he had a problem with his right rear or whatever it was, and went straight on. So it's either a 10 or an NA. Let us know in the comment. The fans gave him a 5.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Like, it's just completely
unfair.
What
are the fans giving him a 5 for? That's crazy. So yeah, okay, cool. Let us know, and we will do whatever you guys decide. Finally, who was our P1? Who's going to get P1? It's going to be Carlos Sainz for me. It has to be. I know that Yuki also got a 10, but Carlos, for me, absolutely, what a man.
For me, it has to be Yuki Tsunoda. Both brilliant drives. Carlos's comeback was amazing, but yeah, I think a great performance from Yuki in the midfield, and maybe it's gonna. If he carries on having performances like this, it could be very fascinating, the Red Bull situation, I think.
thank you as always for just being such a wonderful P1 community and turning up for our podcast, for our content, no matter where you are in the world, our Twitch watch-alongs. It is a dream job and one that we never get normal. We never feel normal. We never. It's never normalized, is it, Tommy? Especially when you tell people what you do for a living, you're like, "Jeez, yeah, that's true, isn't it? It's mad."
Yeah, it is very.
But
mad.
thank you. Formula One is back. Ferrari are back. There's a world championship fight on our hands.
That far off.
And let us know if Verstappen deserves a 10 or an NA.
Talking about Formula One.
That. And that is it. Thank you, everybody. See you soon. Lots of love. Bye.
Bye.
God damn it. So much work for nothing. At least I know I need errors. Okay. I mean, let's see. How they're rated. Let's see, who did them rated mostly weird? Yeah, the Alpine cars really high up. For some reason, Russell and Hamilton high up. But we should. Now it's time for. Let's see what is Jolyon Palmer's analyze of the. I would say yes, Russell crash.
Lap 57 of the 58-lap race. The battle for 6 comes to turn 6, and it ends in tears for ultimately both Alonso and Russell.
Not really for Alonso. Oh, I mean, what are tears for him? That I would say is little too. Mean talking to him. Sure.
As we play it through, you can see Russell very, very close through the apex, too close, gets a load of dirty air from Alonso and ends up in the barriers. Now, these cars are very aero-sensitive. If you get that close behind a car in front, you've got to make adjustments, and Russell was simply going too quick for the dirt.
So that's his problem. He went too fast, too quickly. Too quickly. He went too close to Alonso. His problem.
Yeah, not the clean airflow over his car that he would hope and was probably.
And also listen to the radio, and I would say half think that was life and death. Screaming or what you can call when you say the red. But I can't agree with it sounded like that, but.
Expecting. Two questions. This is a complex issue, really. Alonso was given 20 seconds of penalty, a drive-through equivalent, which is a harsh penalty compared to most things that you see incidents investigated for. A couple of things. Was this dangerous, erratic driving?
No.
And was it the cause for an incident for George Russell? So firstly, let's cover off if it was erratic driving. And we can jump on board with Fernando looking back to George Russell. And you can just hear that actually this was a little bit erratic from Alonso as we're coming up.
Have anyone done this before?
Backs off the throttle, goes
if
again
yes,
on the throttle.
Then it's this. If no, then it's not.
And then comes into the corner. That is unusual, and that meant that Russell caught him at a much quicker speed than anyone would expect.
And nobody have done this before in Formula 1. Man, that's interesting. So he made history, Alonso. He made something that nobody have ever done. That's why. Almost like it's not true, but okay.
Following another car. So certainly this was unusual. Alonso hadn't done that in 56 laps previous, nor had anyone else. It's not something.
Have we done 5 years earlier? Have we done it ever against Michael Schumacher? If yes, then okay. If no, oh shit.
That the driver behind would particularly expect. We can see from this bit of data here, this is Fernando Alonso through the first half of the lap. We are looking at this corner as turn 6. And you can see the red line on lap 57 is clearly running a very different speed.
And how did it look like when he was having Hamilton behind him when Ocon won?
Around this area to the blue line. Alonso, he backs off the throttle. You can see there where the red line drops down and the blue line carries on flat out, as you'd normally do. Fernando backs off the throttle. He actually nudges the brake very slightly and then picks up the throttle, just gently coming into the corner again before braking and continuing the corner like normal. So there is an adjustment there from Alonso. Why did he do it? Well, because straight after this is the biggest overtaking spot on the circuit. There's DRS and a long run to turn 9 and 10. And that was where Russell had been close previously. And he is trying to play games with Russell. He's trying to just put the Mercedes driver out of kilter. And it's actually backfired, and the Mercedes driver's gone into the wall. And so certainly there is a case here for erratic driving. It looks like it is erratic driving.
I really don't know what happened, to be honest. I was half a second behind Fernando on the entry of the corner. And then suddenly, you know, before the apex, I was right in his gearbox and and lost the car, ran wide, and just unfortunately the wall was, well, ran wide, hit the wall, and then it was obviously a dramatic few seconds after that.
Problems on the throttle.
Virtual safety car, virtual safety, slow down, get your delta positive.
I cannot go full throttle, very, very stiff.
So Russell has reported that he's okay, Fernando, just in front of you.
The next question is, though, has erratic driving always been punished? The answer is no.
What? What? No. What you saying? This is lies. Propaganda. Alonso fanboy trying to make excuses.
This is Fernando Alonso ahead of Lewis Hamilton in Abu Dhabi. Just 3 races before this,
the final round. No, that's lies. Lies. Why come with this lies? I mean, this is F1 TV. And you come with this
round of last year, doing exactly the same thing. Alonso comes out of the pits. Hamilton is on a flying lap. A Mercedes behind the Aston Martin of Alonso. And he backs off at this point, way before the braking zone. But you can see the 150 board up here. The braking zone is about 70 metres for this corner. So he's backed off way early. And Hamilton has had to back up, check up, just to stay behind Alonso. They're playing DRS games here, which is a little bit of what Alonso was trying in Melbourne as well. So this is the data between Alonso and Alonso from Abu Dhabi, and it's a very, very similar thing. We're looking at this area in Abu Dhabi coming into to turn 6, and Alonso once again backs off on the lap in question. He goes slow, he has a little brush of the brake, he tickles the throttle again, he brushes the brake again. He wants Hamilton to actually overtake him because they're playing DRS games. And then he enters the...
Yeah, and if Hamilton chooses not to overtake this, that's his problem. If he wants to slow down and being boss like always.
Corner, ultimately, in a similar sort of fashion, once he's realised that this is the time to go. But he is playing games. Crucially, there was no penalty. There was no repercussion.
Wait, why? The crash didn't matter, did they say? So, wait. What?
This from Fernando Alonso 3 races ago. And in Melbourne, he's slapped with a big penalty, a drive-through, which cost him 20 seconds of race time. And it's more than we've seen a penalty for many incidents recently. So, erratic driving, yes, from Alonso. But is that consistent with what's happened before?
Yes.
The answer is no in this case. So certainly, the stewards, whether they like it or not, they have looked at the outcome of George Russell ending in the barriers and actually ending up in the middle of the track, making the crash look more dramatic than it was. And that, I'm sure, is the reason that Alonso's been investigated as thoroughly and deemed punishable in this incident. But let's have a look more at Russell's point of view there. So we're coming through turn 5. He's got a decent amount of gap to Alonso ahead. The red light is going at the back of the Aston Martin. Now, Alonso had a bit of ERS issues. He's struggling with D-rate, so he's actually harvesting a lot of energy in the first part of the lap anyway. Russell is also making a switch change down here. You can see the dash changing as he's coming up towards turn 6, but there's a decent amount of space between the two cars. Now, Alonso is driving erratically, yes, confirmed. But is this dangerous? Because there's a big gap between Alonso's car and Russell's car. And this is not, I would say, a conventional brake test where the car behind has to jump on the brakes to avoid hitting the car ahead. In fact, as we play this through, the closest that Russell gets to Alonso...
Oh my...
is this far back. There's pretty much you can fit another car between them. It's simply a case of he's got too close, going at full racing speed, and he's caught some dirty air, and that is what flicks George into it.
Russell's fault. He wasn't even close to Alonso, and then he just... I mean, surely maybe Alonso braked more than usually, but it's his fault that he didn't do the same.
An oversteer, which he corrects, and ends up in the wall. It's a significant crash, obviously. It's taken off the left-hand side of the car, but it's a crash that we've seen a few times before at this corner as well, a tricky corner. Now, what did Russell do coming into the corner as well? Let's have a look at his data. And actually, if we look at turn 6, the last thing he does before hitting the barrier there, you can see he does brake a little bit earlier because he's catching Alonso.
So he also braked earlier. He should be punished.
He brakes 11 metres earlier for this corner, and it's not enough. He still ends up in the dirty air and firing off to the barrier. He actually steers, if you see the steering trace, he's a little bit more aggressive on the steering on the red lap, the crash lap, where he comes in, he steers more aggressively, unsettling the car in the dirty air. But maybe he's just surprised at this point by how close he is to Fernando and makes a more instinctive steering trace, which would unsettle the car, but no doubt having the dirty air is the key issue for George Russell. But actually, if we look back at the first corners of this lap, he's also braking earlier in these corners as well. He's braking 7 metres earlier at turn 1. He's braking 6 metres earlier at turn 3. He's actually braking less hard. But if you look at the brake trace down the bottom here, he's jumping on 6 metres earlier there. So he's not changed massively in towards turn 6 for a car that it has gone very slowly coming into the corner. Effectively, he's stayed full throttle coming right up to the corner. He's then braked a little bit earlier, but not much difference compared to the first half of the lap where Alonso hasn't been having his erratic driving.
So, hey, still Russell's fault.
Either. And then he's found himself too close to the Aston Martin and into the barriers. And overall, I just can't help but feel, watching it from Russell's onboard, from his point of view here, yes, Alonso slows up. Yes, it is technically erratic, and that gives the stewards certainly a reason to penalise him. It's inconsistent penalty, but technically, according to this particular circumstance, it's difficult for Alonso to argue with it. But looking from here, there is enough space between the two cars, and as he's coming in, was there something more that Russell could do rather than steam in full speed, brake a little bit earlier, but only really similar to what he'd done earlier on in the race, and then end up in the barriers? Certainly, George has got to at least shoulder a chunk of the blame, if not all of it. It's a blurred picture, but you know that Alonso, he does operate in these grey areas. He does it all the time, whether it's last year in Abu Dhabi, whether it's, I think, cheekily
Kevin Magnussen never operated in grey areas,
causing a yellow flag in Baku qualifying a couple of years ago to stop people improving. There's countless times where Fernando Alonso operates in these grey areas, and I think Fernando knew that he had operated in this one as well, because once again, if we go back to his data here, you can see in the stretch after he's just seen Russell in the barriers, he starts playing with the throttle pedal here and saying that there's something wrong with the throttle. All these traces where the red starts coming down, he's blipping the throttle, coming back on. Coincidentally, that hadn't happened before. So I think he's seen Russell in the mirrors go off and thought, oh, maybe that was a little bit too close. So he's trying to give himself a little bit of an excuse there, or it happens to be a legitimate throttle issue. The moment his rivals just ended up in the barriers seems unlikely to me. So I think Fernando knows.
What do you mean? Do you mean he's lying? No. That's... Come on. Why would he lie?
He's operating in the grey areas. There's certainly an argument to penalise him. In my opinion, it's maybe a little bit harsh on Fernando. I don't think it's particularly dangerous what he did. I think there was enough space between the two cars for him to back off slightly, and the two cars were never close to contact. There was always a good amount of space. It's simply a dirty air issue, of which we're opening...
Oh, dirty air that FIA have tried to make work, but then they failed. Nice.
A can of worms with that one. So it's going to be a big talking point. It's going to rage on, I'm sure, for a couple of weeks, and the drivers will make their thoughts known in Japan in the drivers' meeting.
Yeah, my opinion is still that Alonso did nothing wrong. Russell is just bad. And if you care about how scary that was, maybe the corner should be fixed, because that happened in Formula 2 also. Okay, go away with that. Oh, it's time for James Woo. So James Woo. Time for some James Woo talk.
These are weekends that really demonstrate where we are and where we need
Oh my god, it sounds like this will be depressing to watch.
to improve, and they'll accelerate the process, given by none of us want to ever be in this situation ever again. We're here to field 2 competitive cars across the weekend and allow our drivers to fight to the absolute maximum. And not just did we obviously compromise ourselves this weekend and only have the ability to run 1 car, but further to that, we lost all the ability to run on Friday sensibly, and the compromise was that in the race, I don't think we got it right. I don't think we had the setup in the right place or the car in the right place, and the compromise from that is a lack of scoring points relative to our competitors that were able to walk away with a good handful. These moments remain in your mind for a long time because they hurt, and it's that pain that drives you on day by day to ensure that you don't go back into that space. So it's not a weekend to forget, it's one to remember.
I mean, true, but you should maybe remember more when you actually have a good race. I mean, the first podium for Williams since Bottas, that I would say should be remembered more than this race.
Welcome to the Val's Verdict, presented by Kraken.
Oh my god, what's Mike Crack? They should one day, maybe on 1st April, is sponsored by Mike Crack. Mike Crack.
I make decisions based on facts and data, and those same facts and data I presented to everyone else as well. The simple element of our sport now is there's only points scored in the top 10 positions. The bottom teams, the bottom 5 teams, we're just separated, and we will be until the end of the year by a matter of points. And you have to, in these circumstances, put your best foot forward. And thus far, focusing just on 2024, that's been Alex. The gap's much closer, but Alex has been just ahead. And whilst it was a hard decision, by far the hardest I've had since I've been in the sport, let alone as a TP, it was still the correct decision to put your best foot forward in that circumstance. And how I cope with it is making sure that there's a grounding, and for me that's effectively the science behind the decision we've made. It's not based on feel, it's based on just simply data. The other way of coping with it is making sure that the team pulls together after a decision like this, including the drivers, not push away. And I think you saw that from Logan. He had maturities well and truly beyond what I had at his age. He was back in the garage the next day helping Alex get up to speed. He was in the strategy meeting on Sunday morning explaining what he felt on the FP2 long run and how to get over certain tyre issues that we were facing. That's the role of someone that is very much a part of a team, something bigger than themselves, the same way I am as well. And it was incredible to see just the maturity that he had in that circumstance.
That's nice.
Same for Alex. The amount of pressure on his shoulders was enormous. He didn't really do any running on Friday. Went into Saturday morning, completely different conditions.
Doesn't this look so cool? The snow landscape. Mountainous snow. Well, mountains. What can you call this? Snow mountain. And the snow hills. And soon it will be maybe an ice mountain. Also, no Wonder Trader, so we only got one Wonder Trader on all this time. Fistbound man. Okay, back to James Woo.
And then qualifying was the first time he got into representative conditions, and you saw that with his runs getting better and better. That's an enormous amount of pressure for any elite athlete, and he dealt with it in spades. Both sides.
Also after when you also have crashed the first car. Now we have
both engineering and also mechanics work together to produce one car and get the most out of it that we could do. That's how I cope with it. I look at the behaviors of everyone in the highest stress you can ever position a team to be in and see how we perform. And I'm proud of how we pull together.
Okay, lots of teamwork.
I think it's a fair comment. It's a disaster. We're in an elite sport at the leading edge of what I think is the pinnacle of motorsport, and yet we fielded one car. And that's not a situation we plan to be in or want to be in, and nor do any team for that matter. You effectively deal with it is not too dissimilar to what I've just described, but it's fundamentally use this as a positive, not as a negative. I already knew the case was there. The difference now is the whole world has seen where we are really in reality and how far behind we are and what work we have to do to move forward. It's a catalyst to change. We are adapting and transforming the background, and part of the reason why we're delayed is we are adding processes and transformation to the organisation whilst asking ourselves to do 3 cars, not 1 car, and a far more complex technology package than we've ever done before. It's stressed the organisation to the absolute limit, and part of the outcome of that is what you see. We haven't got a 3rd chassis yet. It's on its way, but it's not available yet. The positives of all these, though, is it shows why we have to continue changing and adapting and moving forward in the way we do. This performance gain that we've had across the last year is great, but it can't come at the cost of other items that are just bread and butter. And these circumstances that you see will make teams stronger, as long as you create the right environment, and that's my job to do so. I'm confident we'll be able to fix the chassis. We put measures in place to make sure the chassis was back here very early on Monday morning. I think it arrived around 2 a.m. or so, and since then there was already crews inside the building working on that, stripping it down and doing repairs. And just an update today is we're in a good place for having the chassis back early.
Nice. Let's see, Japan and China. Come on, make Japan a good race for you.
Suzuka. So to answer your question, a lot of the work's done actually back in Melbourne. There was photographs and techniques called NDT, which is non-destructive testing. So there's various ones you can do there, but it allows us to fully understand how big the damage is and what we have to do. And that preparation was key. What it meant was already at 2 a.m. on Monday, work could start. It wasn't then a reflection on what was happening. It was more, this is what we're doing and this is how we execute it. So in Suzuka, we'll have 2 cars without too many issues. We won't have a spare chassis in Japan. The original plan before the season started was to have 3 chassis, as you would expect, at round 1. And that gently slipped towards round 3 as items became more and more delayed. And since then, and especially with the work that we're doing now on chassis number 2, there is again going to be a small amount of delay. That said, we will have a chassis soon. In terms of how much work it is, as you can probably gather by the fact of it's not available to us now, it is weeks and weeks of work. It is thousands of hours spent in composites in order to get it ready. It's one of the biggest jobs within an F1 team. And you've got to get it right. Even when it's built, it then has to have a number of items completed to it, including machining, to get it in exactly the right state so it's ready for racing. It will be with us soon. In the meantime, we have to deal with the circumstances we have in front of us. It's a good question. It's very difficult for any elite athlete when you've asked them to step down from what they do and what they've trained for near enough every day of their life. In the case of Logan, we've already spoken several times, both afterwards, and we continue to do so this week and next week. It's really important to maintain that close contact. It's really important he also understands that it's not a reflection of what he's been doing so far. He's on the trajectory where he is closing in to Alex in terms of performance, but he wasn't on the leading edge. He wasn't leading Alex forward, he was just behind him. If you look at Saudi, you'll see the race result where he finished just behind him in that circumstance. In terms of Bahrain, that was our fault in terms of the steering wheel, but his pace afterwards was matching Alex. So circumstances haven't really come his way, but it's not taking all of that away from him, but rather wanting to build with him going forward. I'm confident that speaking to him he's got the right mindset towards things. He wants to come back and show the world that he's deserving of being here, that he is a Formula 1 driver at elite level. And in terms of Suzuka, he had pace there last year. Obviously, there was a large crash, but he had performance. And that's the real key thing behind it. It's demonstrating that to the world in a clean way.
Hi.
The biggest takeaway is not a positive, it's a negative. Across the first 2 races, we were either the fastest team or thereabouts with RB and Haas. And yet here...
But come on, is Visa, Cash App, RB Formula 1 team? Why is people so not want to say that? It's so easy.
We were way off the pace. It was surprising, in fact, how slow we were at different points in the race. And a lot of that's a reflection of the fact that we didn't long run the medium on Friday. Obviously, Alex's cars was in bits. In the case of Logan, he accidentally flat spotted that medium tyre, which just meant we were without data. And what it meant in the race is we suffered a lot more with what's called front right graining. So effectively, you look at the front right, you'll see that darkened patch where it's just tearing apart. And also rear overheating. Now, everyone, I think, had rear overheating to a certain extent, but we were definitely on the worst side on that front left graining. And that learning was what was missing from Friday. So the biggest takeaway for me out of this is making sure that every lap counts, because it does in the grand scheme of things. And we've got to make sure we get our learning completed on Friday to put ourselves in the right position, because without that, in such a close midfield, every millisecond is really making a difference. The second learning is there is plenty of point scoring opportunity for all of us, but the circumstances won't come every race. But when they do, we have to be on the leading edge of all of those teams.
Yes, and hopefully you will be. I feel like I said it many times, but one day it will come true that I will be scoring points.
And we won't this weekend. There's no doubt an accident like the one Alex had in Melbourne will cost you. It's an amount of time that we hadn't expected to be working on an item, in this case on the chassis, and it takes workload out of the system. The upgrades that we had in the pipeline for Japan will still appear, so that's the positive news out of all of this. They're small items, but every single one will contribute towards the bigger performance picture. There might be items down the line that are
this
slightly
music,
impacted, but the team at the moment is doing a really good job of trying to absorb the additional workload without impacting on the down the line upgrades. So there'll be items appearing round about round 6 or so, and a few other items beyond there as well. And we've just got to keep focus on chipping away at the performance deficit that we have and moving forward up the grid.
Now we have errors for days. Okay, I mean, yes. Yeah, what can you say? A lot of depressing stuff. And hopefully it will be fixed in the future. And yeah, let's see what we're doing. Maybe something. Let's see how much will that take. Oh, 1 hour. Let's see, can I take some? We could maybe. That I want to see. The post race I want to see, and hopefully I will not get any problems with that. Let's see, have we fixed everything else? Yeah, just skim through the F1 Saudi Arabia Prix post-race show while I'm doing some looking for some more snow if I have more snow, and yeah, fun stuff. Oh, this bow go away. Do we have any more snow here? Probably not. Now we can.
Ferrari, the youngest. Well, what can you...
Wait, what? Oh, this is Saudi Arabia. Man, god damn it. Here we have it.
Tell you what, this post-race an appendix. Two weeks ago, Carlos Sainz was barely out of surgery, recovering from an appendicitis. Today, he stands here, the Australian Grand Prix winner and a three-time race winner in Formula One, leading home a superb Ferrari 1-2. But three-time world champion and seven-time Max Verstappen.
Snow and future ice for other stuff.
And seven-time world champion Lewis Hamilton retired. Here is your Australian Grand Prix post-race show.
He's retired. Hi.
Oh my goodness me, Jack Doohan alongside me on Australian. And I tell you what, this event has done Australia very proud.
This must be the only snow I have. So let's take it. Oh, that I think I didn't look. Can I have more snow somewhere here? I think I have, but who knows? Nope. Nope. And I didn't see nothing there. Should be nothing here. No, I feel like this is. Okay. We have all the snow. It's left to. Oh, I have pumpkins in. This we can remove. That we can remove also. Okay, back to.
Indeed, but we'll come to that in a moment. First of all, what a race. Your reaction, please, to what we have seen here in Melbourne today.
I think it's amazing. You know, the universe works in very special ways, and for Carlos to bounce back from, you know, being out of the car, being laying in the hospital bed, to come back here, not being 100% fit, and then, to be honest, you know, I would have loved to have been able to see actually if Max was able to continue, because the pace of the Ferrari and also Carlos in it was just so strong today, and I could see, you know, you had the edge over Leclerc and the rest of the field. I think you and me both are glad to be able to talk about a different name at the top of the standings today.
Yeah, absolutely. But of course, no one wants to see it through a DNF for a driver, for example. And I think we have almost been robbed a little bit.
If it's not Lewis Hamilton, then you want to see every DNF you can make.
Of potentially a brilliant battle between Max Verstappen and Carlos Sainz, because I feel that Carlos and Ferrari very much could have matched what Max Verstappen and Red Bull were capable of today.
Maybe.
I can't quite sort of get my head around the fact that 2 weeks ago he was recovering from surgery. He was walking around so gingerly. Even coming here, he was walking around clearly in some discomfort as well. I did actually Google the recovery time for an appendicitis for your average human, and it's 1 to 2 weeks to return to a normal routine. If you do a physical job or manual labour, you perhaps need a little bit longer to recover. I mean, Carlos Sainz has just won a Formula One race after 2 weeks. That's a pretty physical job, isn't it?
Very light work, but yeah, very, very physical. We saw he had some adjustments to his belt, a bit of foam, potentially.
My God, it's working like it's the first time in many years.
A few other things that we don't know about, but whatever he's done, I feel like he needs to do it again, because you know, very, very fast. I don't even know if they were expecting, potentially they were, but yeah, when I saw Carlos first overtake Max on lap 1, I was quite surprised. And Max mentioned that he was already struggling with the car a bit, that things weren't so comfortable. And to be honest, I was expecting Max just to fly back past 2 laps later. And it wasn't looking like that was the case. So, like you said, they were potentially a little bit robbed from a fantastic race. But nevertheless, I'm sure Ferrari are stoked just the way it ended.
Yeah, I mean, 1-2 for Ferrari. I mean, that's... Man. Hopefully it will be some more 1-2s in the future.
Oh, absolutely. And no, we're going to come on to Max Verstappen. We're going to hear from him very soon as well. And it looked like immediately there was an issue with the right rear. Max Verstappen has been saying it felt like
I wonder if he pitted in the first lap or before the explosion of the tire or brakes or whatever exploded. Could they have fixed the car so he could be go back out of fighting?
Handbrake was on, almost like the brake was sort of stuck on, and then suddenly smoke coming out the back, and then the fire. Jack, as a driver, what is that like when you're suddenly aware of that kind of issue within your car, and I guess you're trying to nurse it, and you're trying to coast it home, really? I
guess, yeah, once you become aware with an issue, you're trying to understand whether it's a quick fix, a pit stop, potentially a tear off or a brake duct that's been blocked, and that's what's causing the overheating and potentially the smoke, or if it's terminal and you have to come in and you're out. And I guess those are the things going on in your mind. You're wondering, Max as well, after such a big winning streak and not having really, it's not common that we see a Red Bull having to retire in that manner. So it would have been all of a shock, I'm sure. But yeah, in the end, I saw him in the garage speaking to one engineer, saying some bad, very expressional, very emotional. It seemed like there's something that we don't know, a different brake disc or something that they might have been trying on that car, because it is very weird for the explosion of a disc as it was entering pit lane and how drastic it was. I was quite surprised.
Yeah, I think he was sort of expressing some concern that they tried to do the pit stop, I think, while the car was on fire. But let's hear from Max Verstappen now as to what happened today as he retired on lap 5.
I'm gonna do
what I do. Give him air. Fucking go away. This music.
Just can you tell us what happened out there and when did you first realise you had a problem?
Well, in the car from my side, already when I had that moment in turn 3, it was very weird why that happened, because you weren't really pushing, you're just easing into the race, settling in. But of course, once I got out of the car, you look into the data, and basically what happened was from when the lights went off, the right rear brake stuck on.
I know something I can do that will make me get some more buckets. You can place down some lava. Oh shit. Go away, go away. That can go away. This will go away. God damn it. Yeah, I know what I can do. Hi.
And yeah, it didn't cool, so it just kept on being warmer and warmer, giving me really weird instabilities, and then of course it caught fire.
How frustrating is it to kind of get your first retirement, I think, in 2 years, basically to this race?
Yeah, it's not ideal. Of course, you always want to finish the races, but it's a mechanical sport. These things unfortunately happen, but I think it's the most important, of course, that we understand why it happened.
Great stuff. Thank you very much.
Well, here we go then. We've got our first driver who's straight in. He's picked up Jack's pass from the floor here.
Your nose used to be bigger.
I know. I know.
Not Jack, your microphone.
I know. When it snows, people think my nose is a ski slope. So it turns, and luckily it's not snowing too much in Australia.
You know what? I agree.
Thank you very much. At least you agree that I'm the fastest runner and have the best hair, so we can.
You are very quick at running, actually. I'm always impressed by your times when I see them. Yeah. Nico, more importantly, I'm impressed with you today. Congratulations. How good does this feel? You've got points, double points for Haas at the Australian Grand Prix, off the back of a point in Jeddah as well.
Yeah, no, points are always good, always welcome. Obviously, that feels sweet. Interesting race where the pace was probably better than expected within the midfield, more competitive than some other guys.
I hope this will just be the first race and then Haas will be bad again.
VSC, the first one, obviously helped my race a lot.
I mean, Visa Cash App RB Formula 1 team. And Williams need the points.
Was able to steal a cheap stop, and then 2 times actually gained position coming out of the pit lane. And it's awkward when you're on track. The guys on track, they were just screwed because I was like in the middle of turn 1, and you know the speed difference is huge, and it's not much you can do. So that worked out pretty well.
It did, absolutely. And how much does this mean to Haas as well, knowing that you've kept the likes of Alex Albon at bay, who so desperately wanted points today?
Podium, so you know, P9-10 is not a big deal.
I know. But in this context, with how tight the midfield is, with
Williams got the point 1 more race. It's like they're so unlucky.
Points coming at, you know, a minimum throughout the season.
That was a joke, right?
Can you give me a straight answer? Come on, it's always like this.
I think you know it's important. You know, the race is definitely on. And for me, what is really positive and encouraging today is that actually the car felt better today in high fuel and long runs than it did yesterday over 1 lap, which you know, we never had that scenario last year. So that's pretty welcome and comes in handy
Maybe soon
race distance.
It will go back to that.
Where do you think that's come from? The fact that last season, yes, you were brilliantly quick over 1 lap pace. This season, we're now seeing that you can back that up in race pace as well. Where's that come from with this car?
It's just come from good work, mostly from the aero department. I think they did a really good job in a small amount of time over the winter, you know, to change the characteristic of our car, flatten out the aero map, make it more consistent, give us more to work with, us drivers and engineers on the track, and that has a huge impact. And it's a huge change
on the right side.
A point for Kevin Magnussen as well. After all of his work last time out in Jeddah, that must feel pretty good as a team.
Yeah, no, today as well we worked well again together as a team, and obviously a bit lucky too. Me with the VSC, with 2 top cars dropping out, 1 early, 1 late.
I would say you were more lucky last race when Kevin Magnussen did all the cheating. But
you know, we'll take those ones, and luck will also change eventually.
Where does Haas go from here then? Japan, China, next.
They will go back, and Williams and Visa Cash App RB Formula 1 team will start getting points. And we have our lava clothes on.
Next up, how do you think those tracks will suit you?
Actually, Thailand
Hopefully
first.
really bad.
You are?
You got something to say, Jack?
Yeah, well, to be honest, you stole my question.
Sorry, Jack.
No worries. Thank you very much.
You're quick-witted.
I was admiring your hair, to be honest. Do you go through a bottle of gel over a weekend, or is it?
It's actually just a little bit like this.
Bit, okay.
And it takes 30 seconds.
Okay, no, it's amazing. I'm surprised it's still there.
How much do you use in your hair then?
None, actually.
And the helmet kind of just, keeps it, just squishes it, and...
I'm sure. You're very lucky.
I got punk.
I thought you'd be losing hair by now.
Oh, natural, hey?
So, heading to Japan, how do you see the car evolving? It seems like I was speaking to a few of your guys in Bahrain and seeing that you're a little bit stronger in the race. Do you feel like this is going to be a trend of moving slightly closer and closer to where you guys want to be?
Yeah, I hope so. I mean, I think it's, we have to prove it and back it up every weekend. It never comes easy. We have to put in the hard work and get the setup right, get this, the driving, the quali right.
Oh my God.
I think it's important that we develop the car from where we are now, because last year we didn't do that, and then we kind of really slipped through and obviously paid a big price by the end of the season, and that's the big target and job this year to actually make the car go quicker.
Great.
Thank you very much indeed, Nico.
Pleasure. Always good to talk to you, Jack.
You as
Keep
well.
it up.
Cheers.
See you next year.
Thank you, Nico. Great stuff. Hair advice as well, Jack, from Nico there.
Yeah,
Did you appreciate that?
I really appreciate it. I love hearing the compliments, and as well from a jealous driver, but you take it when you can.
Absolutely. Let's talk about Daniel Ricciardo then. He started P18,
oh my God.
track limit.
He could also have a good race. Even points for Visa Cash App RB Formula 1 team. But no.
It's deleting his time from Q1 yesterday. He ended P12. Look, not points certainly on home soil. He'd have wanted that, and he wanted to kickstart his season as well. But where do you see his race, and how do you see his race, and where do you see Daniel Ricciardo going from here? Because it's been a tough start, especially compared to points for his teammate Yuki Tsunoda.
It's difficult to say when you're starting that far back, aiming for points. There's obviously going to be a lot happening, especially not in a top-performing car. To finish 12th, I think if you look at the positions gained, he'd be happy, but no points on offer, obviously. And the pace that he could have had yesterday if his lap was to stand, you know, would have put him in a great position to score points on home turf and to sort of potentially, you know, end this Australian round. As a home round, you always want to do well, you know, with a smile on his face. It's, like I said, it's difficult to really go forward, to move. You can get stuck behind cars, especially different aero that teams are running. But going forward, I don't know, we're going to have to wait and see, really, as we head back into Europe.
Hello, Yuki.
Yuki, how are you, mate?
Very good. How are you doing, Yuki? Well done. Congratulations. Points today. Talk us through your race.
Yeah, very happy. You know, first points for our new team. Wasn't easy, but at the same time, for sure we deserved it. You know, last two races we had a pace, but...
Actually true. You deserve all the points.
We had a very frustration races.
So hopefully Ricciardo also get some points.
So yeah, very happy that we're able to finally score points.
How much does this mean to the team? We just heard from Nico Hülkenberg.
How much does this mean for the team? It means nothing. Our team rather didn't want to score any points. So if FIA could just remove the points, our team would be so much more happy. It's so fucking stupid question. I heard your team really hates getting points. Is that true? Yes. We don't want any points.
How much?
It ruined the team spirit. Oh, I didn't see my... Let's see, this must be the way I should go, I think. Yeah, the torso was on the right side. Back to Tsunoda.
You know, the 1, 2, 3 points means to a team when they are sort of fighting in that midfield, and when there is a mistake for, let's say, Max Verstappen or Lewis Hamilton retiring or a driver making an error, you can capitalise on those P9, P10s.
Yeah, exactly. I think the current field, top 5 is kind of secured. And always, you know, when you want to score points, especially top midfield, you want to be around that position, you know, and like today, anything can happen, even the top teams. So we just have to prepare that to wait the opportunity. And actually, qualifying also, we're able to outperform a couple of teams, couple of cars, even from the top teams. So yeah, just keep what we're doing, and also the pace from our team. There's a big potential, I feel like. So. I think amount of hard work the team does in the off season was great. So yeah, keep what we're doing, and yeah, we're very happy that we're able to finally score points.
Heading to Japan, obviously your home race.
Ooh, some great race for Tsunoda, hopefully.
It's great to get points here, but you're obviously wanting to replicate this result and get points at home. How do you think the car, you know, firstly, how's the car, do you think, going to perform in a circuit like Suzuka? Slightly different than here, but also yourself, you know, how are you looking going into your home Grand Prix?
Yeah, it's the best way to end up like this race.
Maybe Ricciardo will be the one that out-qualifying and outscoring Tsunoda. That will be maybe less fun.
Points, and I think there's also able to give a bit of hopes to Japanese fans. I didn't able to score points yet in Japan, so hopefully I can achieve that. At the same time, I would say feeling confidence also in terms of performance as well. Last 3 races there was no any outstanding performance, or you know, anything that race was really worse. So yeah, I think feeling confident, just have to put it all together what we done like today and throughout the race week, like this week, and yeah, see how it goes. And I know the track a lot, and I love the track.
Me too.
So, yeah.
So do I. I've only run the track. Obviously, I've not driven it, clearly. But it's a beautiful driver's track.
Clearly?
The flow of it, the rhythm of it.
Yeah, just And I've driven there already like more than 1,000 laps. So, I know
home track
every
advantage.
bit. Yeah, exactly. So I just gonna enjoy that for sure. And I think in FP1 but anyway, probably I can say that. But anyways, see how it goes. But anyway.
No worries.
Oh, okay.
But there's exciting pinocchio news there, and yeah, I'll for sure enjoy it. And if I score points there, that'll be for sure my highlights for sure.
Let's hope so.
Thank you.
Great stuff. Thank you very much, Yuki. Congratulations today. Really valuable points for RB. First points for the team. I mean, points for RB, points for Haas as well. That means that Alex Albon misses out. P11, just so close, Jack, on a weekend in which I don't think it was quite points or bust for Alex Albon, given the fact that he took Logan Sargent's chassis. They only had the one after his crash earlier on in free practice. But points would have been a very, very sweet return, given what has happened this weekend for them, wouldn't it?
Yeah, definitely. They were obviously putting all their eggs into Alex's basket in hopes of him taking over Logan's car, making the most of that opportunity to hopefully, give the team their best shot to score points. So, for sure, not scoring points, they're not, going to be over the moon. Neither will Logan. But that was obviously the right option to choose. And it didn't seem like yesterday that they were really strong enough to be in there today. They're probably a little bit disappointing seeing how the race panned out and the few top cars going out. They probably think it's a bit of a missed opportunity.
Yes,
but at the end of the day, it is what it is.
Yeah, an incredibly tough weekend for Williams and for both drivers as well. Logan Sargent sitting on the sidelines, and indeed Alex Albon just outside the points, P11. The dreaded position that I don't think any driver ever wants to finish in.
So close, but so far.
Exactly, a big old headache for James Bowes this weekend. That brilliant Magnussen overtake actually on Albon just through the closing stages of that race. Sam Collins is in the studio standing by. Sauber, the pit stop woes continue, Sam. What can you tell us?
It's been a day that's really has been the pits for the Sauber team. Now, I'm going to show you what's really been going on, because a few people have been confused and asking what was that FIA message about with Valtteri Bottas being summoned to race control about now, to explain what's going on. We're looking at Valtteri Bottas's first pit stop here and the left front corner. Now, keep an eye on this mechanic here, who's just out of shot, and then have a look at the wheel gun going in here, and just keep your eye on that part of the car as I play this forward just for a couple of seconds.
Okay, let's analyze it.
And you'll see in a moment the wheel nut just bouncing out there from the front wheel. Now that shouldn't happen, because Formula One cars use captive wheel nuts. Now just play, you'll see it bouncing into this area here just in a moment, and you'll see, bang, there goes the wheel nut. The mechanic has to dive off to stop it rolling into the fast lane of the pits and cause a safety issue. Well, check this out, the second pit stop, and some sharp-eyed viewers may have picked this out already. Again, we're looking at the left front corner and the left front tyre changes of the Sauber team here. Now, I'm going to play this forward at full speed, and you'll see the wheel nut bouncing out of the car just there, and you can see it scooting.
Oh my God.
Scooting off into the pit lane and into the fast lane of the pits. Now, that is a dangerous situation for the Sauber team. That's what they've been summoned up to race control to explain, and that could constitute something similar to an unsafe release. Sometimes a financial penalty, sometimes a sporting penalty.
Unsafe release.
We certainly won't like that.
I mean, it's unsafe release of the...
And then finally, this incident here, there's not really much to play. It's Zhou Guanyu sitting still in the pits with a set of new hard tyres on. What happened there? Well, the Chinese driver came into the pit stop and the car just completely shut itself down. The driver just did essentially Control-Alt-Delete, restarted the car, and the car was operating fine after that. But it's the third race in a row where Sauber has had awful...
I mean, they are going 100% with the sponsor. They are the Stake F1 team Formula 1. Oh my God. Stake F1 team. Stake F1 team Kick Sauber. So they're really supporting their sponsor. Oh my God, only 3 buckets left. How many more? How many more buckets do I really need? At least one here. 2. Maybe 3, 4. 4, maybe 5 we say. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11. No, 10, 11. Oh, okay, 16. At least 16. Yeah, 16 more buckets.
Full pit stop problems, and that is a real issue. I mean, you can even see here the mechanic just sitting looking at the wheel gun, wondering, did this work? Did it all work out properly? On the left front for Zhou Guanyu, there wasn't a problem in the pit stop for him, but this is something that keeps happening, and the team didn't really think they'd solved it coming into this weekend. Now we see that they haven't. Now, Audi has taken full ownership of this team, and it's going to be a works team in 2025. And if you're a works team, you start touting around looking for new drivers. And if the drivers are seeing a team that can't even change its wheels properly, you might start wondering if that's the right place to go. Particularly if you've just won the Australian Grand Prix, Laura.
Very much, Sam. Yeah, I was just agreeing with you there, with Jack Doohan saying that the chat that Carlos Sainz might be going to Sauber ahead of course, Audi in 2026. Not looking an attractive prospect at the moment as things stand. Mercedes then, let's move on to them, Jack. Just a horrible, horrible weekend. Through practice, both cars looked difficult. Lewis Hamilton saying it's the worst he's felt in this car so far. And then for him, a PU failure. We'll come to that first. And then George Russell, that awful crash right at the very end of the race. We're very glad he's okay. But Hamilton first up, PU failure. We've had an inkling that potentially that Mercedes power unit is causing a few issues by virtue of McLaren, Aston Martin, just looking at changing control electronics, changing certain areas of the car early doors. What are you seeing there?
We saw a brink of it in Bahrain, and it's never from what I can see and what I've heard, there's not sort of been a real solution or a big sort of move forward. And you know, in all honesty, I'm not so in the loop of their power unit and focusing on that side of things. But it is obviously a big thump, potentially going to hurt them later in the year if they're having to do something drastic. And it's not real great to round 3 already be suffering with a PU issue, as it's quite a hefty one.
Yeah, in round 3 as well, and obviously Lewis was trying to get stuck into the race. He had a horrible time in qualifying. He started this race in his lowest starting position since 2010 here, and then just unable to make up the time, pulling over in lap 15. It's been, a horrible weekend, and I wonder where Mercedes can go.
They can go nowhere. They're so washed. They should just leave Formula 1 for real. See, a light grey, orange, light grey, white. Oh my god. Okay, difference. Green, orange, green, orange, green, orange. We have red and green. Red and green. Red and green. Priming. Okay, this could go back. I picked that. Green and orange.
From here, Jack, with a car that seemingly has no sweet spot.
Exactly, and I was speaking with a few of the guys after testing in Bahrain, and they were very optimistic, thinking that the car was going to be stronger than last year, getting on top of the issues, and it has seemed like it's just slightly deteriorating, getting a little bit worse over these first 3 rounds, which isn't great. And I was just so surprised today. I took a moment in shock almost, that there was a 7-time world champion in the car that he's won those world championships in P7. I'm starting P11, sorry, and it was just, you know, it amazed me. It's clearly something is very far from right, because we know what Lewis is capable of. We've seen him do extraordinary things, but it's just clearly not coming together. It's just not working, and that just shows how close and cutthroat our sport is, and
It's not close, he's just washed. Come on, it's the true. And let's see, what do we have? A flopper. Do we have a flopper here? Then we want flopper cyan brown. Do we have at least cyan? Then we have the cob.
The competition is that a few things not going right, and you have a former, you know, world champion, arguably one of the best in the sport, in P11.
Yeah, it's incredible to see, isn't it? Just the change in fortune,
it's beautiful.
how the momentum, the pendulum can swing in Formula One. Let's hear from the 7-time world champion Lewis Hamilton now.
Hey, Reza. Hey, Lewis. Well, you gave it a go with the soft tire at the start, and it looked like you were making some progress. How frustrating?
Oh, wait, what do I have cob here? Magenta Grey. See, purple lime. Purple, sure. Then stripe leaf.
Was it then to feel that engine starting to go?
Well, I didn't feel it. It just went in one go. I didn't feel it coming. Definitely frustrating because, you know, it was so early in the race. I was hoping to be able to progress forwards and on a different strategy to everyone. But these things happen.
What did you manage to learn in that early stint, at least before the problem, to try and help you understand why maybe this weekend didn't quite go the right way for you?
Nothing more than I've not noticed before. We struggle with, we didn't look terrible in the high speed, but we're so in the low speed this weekend, as where in the past race we were bad in the high speed and good in the low. So, yeah, a real struggle this weekend.
Right, hard luck, thank you.
So, not a good weekend for Lewis Hamilton and for teammate George Russell as well. It was all looking like he was going to be bringing home decent points from Mercedes, obviously not.
And then Alonso came and said no.
High standards they would have set themselves, but certainly in the mix. He was in a bit of a battle with Alonso. We're just hearing right now that they are both going to be summoned to the stewards. They're going to be heading there in about 10 minutes or so. We're going to just play back what happened between Fernando Alonso and George Russell, or indeed the moment George Russell crashed, and see if there's anything funny about it, because obviously the stewards have picked up on something, Jack, that we're going to now just take a look at and see what you can hear or see.
And I noticed it, to be honest, while I was watching. It seemed like it was coming onto the last lap. George was in that DRS territory, and Fernando is very smart. He's thinking all the time, and it's turn 6. It's a very high-speed corner, and it's at the point where he's around about 5 to 6 tenths of a gap away. So, yes, it's going to be difficult to follow, but not extremely. And when I saw it happen, I watched the onboard back. It seemed like I saw Fernando just back off ever so slightly and to close that gap a little bit closer, so that George was within that 2 to 3 tenths range where it was going to be very tricky to follow and get a good exit out of turn 6. And he closed up on the closing speed very, very quickly. You can just see that he's lost a lot of aero, turned in at the same speed that he's entered at, and the car just doesn't have anything to stick to the wings, and he's lost the rear. And, you know, it's ended very badly for George. Potentially, yes, smart by Fernando, but the results could be very big and bad for him if he's found to have done any wrongdoing. It could potentially is a little bit exaggerated, and yeah, George, it could have been a big crash. more than it was.
Do you think Fernando slowed down unusually?
It seemed like, I'm sure if the stewards will go into it in further detail, but if you take Fernando's laps from the lap before and seeing where he's braking compared to that lap, for me it looked like George all of a sudden, you know, didn't brake 15 meters later and close up 4/10 under braking.
We'll see. We'll bring you that decision the stewards make on that moment between George Russell and Fernando Alonso as soon as we can. We're going to head to a George Russell interview in just a moment, but first I'm going to bring Daniel Ricciardo on to show. Daniel Ricciardo, welcome, P12 on home soil. Look, I know it's not the points that you'd have wanted. Talk us through your race, though, and how you're feeling now.
It was, yeah, I think, I don't know. Sometimes it's hard to process the race straight after. Sometimes I have a really good recollection, sometimes I don't. I remember the first hard, we had quite a bit of front graining, so I struggled with that set. And then the second hard, so the tyre we finished the race on, once I got past Ocon, we had a few laps of clear air, and I think the pace then was good relative for kind of our competitiveness. I think we had some good moments, so some pros to take, still some things we're trying to get on top of. And yeah, we'll go from there. It's been a slower start to the season than I certainly expect.
Yeah, but don't worry, Ricciardo, you will get your points.
Would have liked, but yeah, we'll keep chipping away and try to keep moving forward.
Yeah, that must be tough. Look, Yuki's obviously in the points today in P8. It shows that there is more to extract from this car. What areas do you think you can extract from? Where it may be the car, where it may be yourself as the driver as well?
Yeah, I think it's a two-part process now. I think there's obviously I look as much as I can into myself, into data, into onboards, how I'm driving, what's making me do certain things, and then is that self-induced or is that a reason? Is that something coming from the car which isn't giving me the feeling I want? So then, yeah, and then I'm asking the engineers lots of questions, you know, because the car is pretty much the same as last year. Obviously, it's a different car, but it's not that we changed the whole philosophy and.
Yeah, and he have got points in last year, so...
I think the characteristics are fairly similar, so I think that's why we're probably a little bit maybe unsure why we are struggling so much, and obviously Yuki's certainly very, very comfortable with it, because it's pretty similar, so keep working on trying to get them to go around the car with the magnifying glass as well, make sure nothing's off. As a driver, you put everything you can into it, but you want to ask as many questions as possible and make sure that we got everything as it should. So I'm sure we'll find something and keep our head straight and keep our eyes on the prize, I guess.
I was mentioning to Laura earlier, if yesterday's lap obviously had stood, it would have been a completely different race today. And just not being in a top team, starting at the back, spending X amount of 2 laps behind a car that you don't want to, like you said, struggling with that graining. Unfortunately, you still went forward, but to get into points, it's just so difficult and so hard. People don't understand from the outside that 1 lap, 2 laps you spend struggling to get past that car in front, your stint could be completely ruined, in a blink of an eye. So I did feel for you because, there was, I feel like potentially if that lap could have stood with a bit of clear air, the strategy being a little bit more open, not by cars being in front, that there could have been so much more than P12.
Yeah, it changes the race completely. When you're in that kind of midfield, if you're at the front of it and can kind of do your race as opposed to being there and dirty air and tires and you push more and you kill the graining or whatever. So that's where qualifying is so important. And obviously yesterday was my mistake, but I think there was frustration because I felt like I'm I don't want this to sound the wrong way, but it's like I had to work too hard for it, and in a way I was forced to probably drive out of my skin to get that time out of it, and obviously then make that error and go off track. But yeah, we're gonna stay upbeat. Hopefully we see a 4th Aussie on the grid soon. Obviously Valtteri is number 3 if we're people at home are questioning. But yeah, Jack feels for me. I feel for him. I know what it's like when you're there, and you just as a reserve driver. When I was 2010, 2011, I would watch the race and I was just like, it actually made me angry watching races because I wanted to be out there so bad.
Definitely not.
No. On here, right?
I love coming on here, but I tell you what, I'd much prefer to be in a briefing room right now, dissecting my race.
We would love to see you on the grid as well. And Daniel, just a quick one as well, 2 more from me, if I may. Christian Horner came up to you on the grid. What did he have to say before the race?
He said he'd ordered me waffles, so he was just going to keep them warm for me.
I had a feeling you weren't going to get a straight answer to that one.
No, he just wished me well and just told me to keep my head down and just not be discouraged. You know, I think this is a very obviously I know how I feel and maybe not everyone does, but it's a very different situation to McLaren. You know, I think especially 2022 I was running on very, very little confidence. I was kind of confused with the car and I didn't really understand it. That was a completely different thing. You know, this isn't that. It's we're certainly not achieving what we thought we would be, but it's not through just being lost or losing confidence or anything. So we know we can do it. I thought it would have happened this weekend, unfortunately.
And you can. The race think you have a same problem with McLaren.
They didn't, but we're not going to start letting the noise creep in. Just stay true to the course and it'll turn around.
Well, thank you so much, Daniel. I hope you find some answers soon over the next couple of races. Thanks for your time today. Well done. Thank you. Let's hear now from George Russell.
Well, it's lime, but...
Hey, George. Just firstly, are you okay after that accident?
Yeah, I'm okay. Really don't know what happened, to be honest. I was half a second behind Fernando on the entry of the corner. And then suddenly, you know, before the apex, I was right in his gearbox and lost the car, ran wide, and just unfortunately the wall was, ran wide, hit the wall, and then it was obviously a dramatic few seconds after that, but yeah, disappointing end to a difficult race.
I was going to say, on that race, and talking specifically about the race, were you surprised at maybe the lack of pace and perhaps that you weren't able to have the pace to match some of the front runners?
Yeah, for sure, the pace wasn't where we wanted it to be. We showed spells of good lap times, but ultimately it wasn't where we wanted, and we have work to do. Thank you.
So just to remind you then, George Russell is with the stewards right now, him and Alonso, both after that incident in the last couple of laps. Very glad to see that George Russell is okay. That's the most important thing as ever. 2 big hits for both George Russell and Alex Albon this weekend, and luckily both drivers A-OK. We're going to move on to McLaren now, Jack. A P3 and a P4 for Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri. We'll start with Oscar. There was a moment where for a stint of the race, he was running in that P3 position. He was within the podium, and then he swapped with Lando Norris. Lando Norris ended up P3. How did you see Oscar's race?
I thought, you know, for quite a while that I was going to see a home podium, which would have been very special. I'm sure the fans would have loved that, but you know, over that, Oscar would have loved that. But yeah, that second, I would say the second quarter of that race, Lando found pace, and from the team, I could understand. I could sort of see it coming, that they were looking like, okay, you know, maybe Lando can have a chance to fight Charles, which will be 18 points rather than 12 and 15. So they're in the best interest for them. They're looking, all right, we need to score as many points as possible while we have this opportunity. And when they called that for Oscar to move over and let Lando by, you know, he didn't even hesitate. He knew what was at stake, which takes a lot because he's in P3 in his home Grand Prix, and he moved over straight away, sacrificed the position. And I think that would have been tough for sure, but it just shows how cemented he is in his position at McLaren, how good that relationship is, and an amazing result.
I mean, surely it will maybe be some difference if it's about a race win. But, I mean, if you know you is slower, why not make it easy? It will just look bad if you try to hold him up if you are slower, and if Norris will only get past you either way. Just make it look good for you.
You know, they have, apart from Ferrari getting a 1-2, you know, extremely high points from this weekend, and back seeing sort of the performance that we saw from them from the tail end of last year.
Yeah, Lando obviously had the fresher tyres. I think he was sort of lapping half a second or so quicker per lap than Oscar at the time of the team orders, and an incredibly cool, level-headed response from Oscar to, as you say, move aside and allow Lando Norris to get the job done with P3 today. P4 for Oscar Piastri, oh so close to the podium. Their team boss, Zach Brown, is now with Alex Brundle.
Zach, outstanding day for McLaren, good brace of points. You happy with that?
Yeah, happy with that. You know, anytime I think you're on the podium, strong race. We were in the ball game. We could see the red cars at the end of the race. Great to see Carlos win. He's a friend of the family, of course. So if it can't be one of the papaya guys, then Carlos would be who you'd like to see on the top step. Yeah, they sound strategy. We responded to Leclerc's stop, so that ended up getting the drivers on a little bit different strategy. Oscar's strategy a little bit quicker at the start, Lando's strategy a bit quicker at the end, but good day in the office.
There was one moment where you switched the cars over. Are you happy with that decision, given the end result?
Oh yeah, there was a tire delta.
No, we wanted to lose some positions.
At that moment, Lando had fresher tires, so you always want to kind of make sure you don't not maximize a tire delta. So he was on fresher tires, so it was an easy decision, really.
Very good on race pace. Is it the nature of the circuit that's put you in the hunt here, or do you think you're going to be able to continue this form through into the early phase of the year?
I think we'll be strong in Japan. Obviously, no one's been to China in a while, but I think we definitely have a good race car underneath us, and we continue to have some development coming. So hopefully, this is the first of many podiums this year.
Two young drivers giving it large for the long term.
100%.
Well done, Zach.
Cheers.
Wait. Scam ad. Oh my god, it's the scam. The scam ad for
Yeah,
F1.
positive, optimistic, exciting times for McLaren if indeed they can continue this pace over both one lap and indeed race pace as well. Oscar Piastri, we'll just talk about his race there. I think tyre management for him last year, in his rookie year, was very much a focus in an area that he, by his own admission, really wanted to
his rookie year was with McLaren. That's
improve
beautiful.
upon. Do you think he's done that coming into this year? Do you think we have seen improvements there?
Yeah, definitely. You know, I saw it initially in Bahrain. I saw it again in Jeddah. You know, in a situation like it was in Jeddah, fighting Lewis from not a super late point on in the race, having the level-headedness to know, okay, I'm not going to over-push this just for this one position at this point in time, potentially lose more. It was great to see it portrayed there. And again here today, we saw him at points later in the race there, setting fastest laps, trading that with Lando at a point in time. So for sure, that's experience coming into play. Him also working really hard with the team and everyone, I'm sure, back at the factory in the sim to better himself from that point of view. But, you know, he was a rookie going up against Lando, still young, but very experienced, very talented. So a great role model to learn off in that sense.
I think we could all learn from Oscar Piastri. He's just so level-headed, you know, calm, not laid back is how race engineer Tom Sallard describes him. I'm sure there's mixed emotions for him right now, though, so close to a podium, the first ever podium for an Australian on home soil. Let's hear from Oscar now.
Hey, Oscar, what's the overarching emotion? Just missed out on a podium, but obviously it's a pretty healthy point score in front of your home fans.
Yeah, definitely. I think a good result. Of course, I would have loved to have been one spot up, but no, I'm pretty happy with that. A few little things that I could have done a bit better in that race. I think just struggled a little bit in that middle stint on the hard, but yeah, all in all, pretty happy with the race, and yeah, good load of points for the whole team.
Overall, it kind of feels like maybe McLaren were a little bit stronger in the race than maybe you expected heading into the weekend. How many positives do you take from that, and does that bode well for the upcoming races?
Yes.
Yeah, I think definitely we're a bit quicker than we expected. Yeah, when we could hang with the Ferraris, that was a positive surprise, and obviously Max went out early, but yeah, was surprised Checo wasn't a bit quicker. So yeah, good result, happy with that, and I think, you know, the fact that we were able to stay pretty close to Ferrari was a great sign. So yeah, excited for the future.
Great stuff. Thanks, Oscar.
Thank you.
Yeah, exciting times for Oscar Piastri, and he had Perez just behind him, and when Perez came up past both of George Russell and Lewis Hamilton. They were both really keen to emphasise on the radio, oh my gosh, this car is an absolute rocket ship. I don't think Oscar Piastri perhaps felt the same way, perhaps indicating where McLaren and Mercedes are, or maybe just coming up against each other in different parts of their stints. But a word on Sergio Perez, because at times, he did look like a rocket ship going past those Mercedes.
And then he was
Fernando
super slow.
Alonso, and then he seemed to just kind of stand still in a way. Where do you think that sort of lack of pace came from?
The floor.
It's difficult to say, to pinpoint it. However, again, this is where I feel we were a little bit robbed on Max's performance to really see how that was going to play out, because we heard already on lap 1, lap 2, he's struggling with the balance. The rear's not where it's supposed to be. You know, maybe it was an off day for Red Bull, and we know that Max can go above and beyond potentially what that car can do, and we can see him outperform Sergio by quite some margins. And maybe today the car just wasn't in a good window, and that P2 was all they were going to get, or worse. And Checo then again struggling maybe more with that, not as confident as Max is with the car, and that's just where the performance lies. We associate the Red Bull with being the best car on the grid, top, but maybe we saw for the first time today that there was a small little hiccup in that dominance, which I'm sure we would, or everyone at home would like to maybe see a little bit of a mix-up. But we know how they work at Red Bull, how they are. They're ruthless, relentless, and they will not want that to happen again going into Japan.
Oh yeah, they are going to come back very hard indeed, aren't they? Look, we know Sergio Perez was worried about degradation here. Obviously, with the temperatures soaring this afternoon as well, could have been part of the problem today. I'm hearing Alex Brundle is with Lando Norris right now. P3 for Lando Norris today.
Lando, podium, 3 races in. That's a great top off to this weekend and a decent start to the year.
It is. Pretty
Before even Mercedes got on the podium, that's nice.
A little bit surprised. I didn't think we were expecting. With one of the Red Bulls out, maybe you would expect it, but to keep up with the Ferrari with Charles, I think was a good surprise for us today. So good signs, a lot of positives, clear areas to work on and improve, but it was a fun day, especially when you know you can fight for a podium and you can even fight for a P2 almost. It's a good feeling inside the car. So yeah, happy, and a 3rd and a 4th for us as a team is a good load of points, and that's always puts a smile on your face.
Do you have any chance of catching Charles to the end of the race? Do you think you could have found a little bit more pace and maybe challenge for 2nd?
Nope.
Honestly, I think we were quicker than Charles today. He undercut us in the first stint, and we just never made back the loss we did from the undercut. So I did, like the 2nd stint, I almost caught him. We did a box to overtake. If he didn't box, I would have undercut, and I think I would have got him, but 1 lap too late. So a shame. I think it was a lost opportunity today. That's thinking, pessimistically, and if being honest, I think we should have finished 2nd, but I'm still going to take a 3rd, at the same time. So yeah, I think as a team we always think, where can we improve and where can we do better, and that was something we maybe could have done a little bit better on.
Well done, Lando. Great job.
Yeah, great job from Lando Norris today, but as ever, as all of you racing drivers, he wanted that little bit more and felt that Leclerc could have been in his sights. Do you feel that was the case, that McLaren had a bit more pace today than Leclerc? He seems to have had a bit of a tricky weekend. Yes, it was a P2, but Leclerc perhaps struggling somewhat with the feeling in the car.
Yes, exactly. I think any time that your teammate wins in front of you and by some margin, yes, we saw Charles come back a little bit in those last few laps, but apart from that, Carlos was never challenged at all over the course of that race. He was in another league, and it could come down to they're both two extraordinary drivers, very high talented, and one feeling slightly more comfortable than the other. We've seen it in with the roles being reversed, and
reverse the word.
Yes, thank you. Reversed, and Charles doing the same to Carlos. So whatever it could have been, it can be the same in Japan. But yeah, Lando, like we said, wanting more. It seemed like before that pit stop that he was closing ever so closely onto Charles. And to be honest, they looked like they were both out ready to do either box or stay out, go opposite of the car in front. And I thought that Lando would have only gone for a lap or 2 further before trying to box and challenge. But yes, like you said, like you're saying just before, it just seems like they lost out a little bit too much due to that undercut.
Yeah, they did. What could have been for McLaren, but as Lando said, as Zach said, as Oscar said, a really decent haul of points and much to be positive about looking ahead to the season for McLaren. I tell you what though, Ferrari are going to be a very, very happy team coming away from Melbourne here. Let's hear now from both drivers, P1 and P2 today, Carlos Sainz and Charles Leclerc.
Hey Charles, how pleased are you with the efforts of yourself to make your way up into the field into the podium position and to get a Ferrari 1-2?
I mean, he should be somewhat happy. I mean, it could be no win, but hey, you will get more opportunity. This could be Carlos Sainz's last win.
Well, I mean, first and second was the best we could do this weekend, so on that I'm very happy. On my own performance, I'm not extremely happy. In qualifying, I didn't do a great job. I was starting further back than what I would have hoped for. In the race, my second stint wasn't great. I had a lot of front graining. My last stint was really good, but I was too late to do anything. And Carlos has been on it the whole weekend, so congratulations to him. He deserves it. Really happy for the team. We have scored maximum points. We also have the fastest lap, so we couldn't have hoped for better as a team. And on my side, obviously, I will always try and do a better job. This weekend I haven't been particularly on form since yesterday, but if on weekends where I'm not on form, I'm second with the fastest lap, then I will sign.
I know you want to go away from this weekend and work on the bits and pieces that didn't quite work for you this weekend, but does it feel like Ferrari are starting to make some indents into that Red Bull gap? And if you keep building in this way, you can have more weekends like this going forward?
I think we will have weekends where we'll put pressure on them.
Yes, Monaco and Baku, hopefully.
Cannot
Two
get too carried away that just because there was no Max in this race today, and we know how fast he is in race pace. But for sure, if we keep working like this, there will be races where we'll put him under a lot of pressure.
Great stuff, thank you. Carlos, congratulations. What a day, what a weekend, what a couple of weeks. Can you believe you've just won your third Grand Prix 2 weeks after
Probably not, but hey, who says no to that?
having surgery?
No, honestly, but yeah, I can just tell you I'm extremely happy. Not only because of these last 2 weeks, but because of how difficult this year it's been so far. You know, as I said on the radio, a bit of a roller coaster. You start the year with the bad news of the non-renewal and a bit thinking, okay, what's next in my life? And then you prepare yourself, you go training, you do your winter testing, you arrive to the first race, and boom, a good podium that sets the season going, gets the season going, and then suddenly the appendix, the unknown of when am I going to be back? Am I going to be back in full form? How long it's going to take me to get back up to speed?
One day all these problems will be
and then suddenly you come back and win. and yeah, it just shows how beautiful is life in that sense. You know, what a roller coaster, but life is good sometimes.
What does this mean then going forward? It must give you a ton of confidence personally for the team as well, but also to put yourself in the shop window for the future at 2025.
I mean, I'm still jobless for next year, so I guess this will help to get a job for next year. But no,
like one
just
day,
joking. I hope I get a drive, of course. But yeah, you know, it's only also for myself. You know, I want to keep proving to myself.
I mean, I think this is M&A must be from a really old bug. I don't know when it's happened, but one day, when the bug happened, the guns never stopped spawning, and this is the how it ended up being. Man, sadly they fixed the bug, I think. So no more guns can spawn here. Man.
That when you give me a winning car, I can get it done. I got it done in Singapore, got it done again here, even without being 100%. So yeah, I keep proving to myself that when I'm given a good car, I just can go on.
Pick one.
What beautiful pictures these are as well. And you know, I love the radio over the end to say, should we close up the gap a bit so that Charles and I can celebrate this one together as a Ferrari 1-2. A supreme drive under unbelievably difficult circumstances for Carlos Sainz, and then the wherewithal, the grace at the end to just allow his teammate to enjoy the moment too. It was special, wasn't it?
Very special. Yeah, I don't know if that celebration was, let's say, removed by the VSC of Charles not being able to get close, otherwise.
Oh yeah. I wonder how that is the feeling. You end in the race, you clearly will win, but then you end the race under Yeah, VSC. Virtual Safety Car. So unlucky.
That would be him going too close to Carlos and maybe giving him a time penalty or whatever, but I thought it was very special. An amazing moment for Ferrari to get a 1-2. Charles would obviously be wanting the win, but in general, just great points for them, especially for a day when there was one Red Bull car out.
Yeah, absolutely. They'll be looking to see what they can do in Japan. Now, Jack, you've been a busy man this weekend. Obviously here, home turf, it must be amazing to be back, but equally you had a very special moment out on track, sharing a lap with your father, Mick Doohan. Talk us through what...
I've not seen anything about that, but man, I mean, that could be fun for him. A lap with his father.
What that was like.
Yeah, it was very cool. We started off the weekend Saturday morning in a Benetton B200 from the year 2000. That was originally driven by Charlie Wirt. No, that's Alex Wirt. Sorry, I was thinking of his son. And Giancarlo Fisichella. And to be out on the car, then it was changed to a Brabham, a car of the 1960s. You know, to be driving in a car of a former Australian Formula One world champion was amazing. Plus to be on track with my father, it was yeah. A lot of emotions. I was just super happy to be on track and driving as watching everyone go around. Every weekend I'm super jealous, so to be able to be out there was amazing.
Oh yeah, we're so glad to see it. And the reaction as well around this brilliant Albert Park circuit was special too. Thank you, Jack. Let's take a look then at Japan. Round 4 is coming up very, very soon. We are heading to Japan in just 2 weeks' time.
Oh shit. Not the music, it can ruin your life if you play it for long. Okay, so that was their post-race show. Yeah, they think they talked about everything. Yeah, they even have the bad pit stops from Stake, F1 team, Kick Sauber. They mentioned something about Alexander, but not so much about Williams. Yeah, let's see. Yeah, I could end this with... No, go away. With some Kim Illman. While I'm planking down the fish somewhere.
G'day from Western Australia. After the...
fuck me. You need to change that. Now you can talk.
G'day from Western Australia. After the Australian Grand Prix in Melbourne. In this video, I'm going to tell you what every single driver drove.
Oh, let's see what... I mean, let's see. Charles Leclerc and Carlos Sainz should drive Ferrari. Fernando Alonso should... I mean, Aston Martin should... I mean, I should be. But who knows? Ricardo Tsunoda, probably Honda. Ricardo maybe Ford. Max and Perez maybe Ford also. Who more? No, this is wrong place. Where do we have the black tang? I think it's almost look like that. It's a clay fish. Oh, it says actually clay fish. Grey and black. Grey and black. They were... No, fuck me. Where do we have stripey? Grey and purple. Grey and... Then we have purple. Then we have grey. but in the wrong order. Oh no, it can stay. Clayfish. Where do we have the clayfish? Grey and black. Fuck, didn't I have? Man. No, so don't want to. You need to stay there for now until I get more buckets. Okay, back to Killerman.
Up to the track.
Oh shit, more cars. I mean, Norris and Piastri. Maybe McLaren, but probably not. Hey, let's see.
Valtteri Bottas's was funny.
A clown car, maybe.
I've got to take my hat off to Valtteri Bottas. He knows how to have some fun. I'll get to
And bike, maybe.
His car shortly. Let's start off with Red Bull Racing's two drivers, neither of them finishing in the top 3 this weekend, and that is a real rarity. But to the track, they drove these Ford Ranger Raptors, both orange in colour. And look at this huge Ford.
Oh my god, they are McLaren fans.
Ford smacked right on the front bumper. They also had a third one of these running people in and out of the track.
Also, someone, some people calls this the kids killer. You can't see any kids when you drive it. So, I mean, it's in America, so who cares?
Track, and they do that every single race with this fella Cengiz behind the wheel, and he's been with Red Bull as long as I've been in the sport. In Australia, we call the Ranger Raptor a ute, a utility vehicle. It's big, it's over 2 metres wide and taller than me, which can be a little bit of a drama in some shopping mall car parks which don't have high enough roofs. And if you want any other colour than white in Australia, you'll have to pay a premium. Let's go next to Aston Martin drivers Lance Stroll. He's very consistent, yes, once again in a DBX, as was his teammate Fernando Alonso. Both 707s, the souped up version. Now with Fernando, sometimes he will actually drive that car to and from the track, but have a second car for him to drive around the city or the towns, depending on where we are. But he does the right thing for the team by bringing that car into and out of the track. At this point, let me say that with me going to China shortly, I'm going to need a VPN, and my VPN, Virtual Private...
Yeah, sure, lies. Oh, probably not lies, but...
Pointed. Thank you, Surfshark. Esteban Ocon, what was that young man driving to the track? He was driving a Renault Megane E-Tech. And while some of the drivers parked in the driver's car park, which is pretty close to the Melbourne Walk, some got dropped off right up next to the swipe gates at one end, while others went to the far end and virtually avoided seeing any fans. Esteban did that on the Friday. Teammate Pierre Gasly also was in that same car. Renault Megane E-Tech is a 100% electric vehicle, does 0 to 100 in 7.4 seconds. When I look at electric vehicles, I'm expecting them to go like rockets off the line, but no, that is, well, that's more comfy rather than like a rocket. But it looked okay and no complaints from the drivers. Now, there were a lot of people who lined up on the road into the track during the mornings just to get a glimpse of their favourite driver. And the road that they take, and there is only one entry in to Albert Park, is from Canterbury Road. They then pass underneath the track and continue turning right until they get to the driver's car park. Now, we used to have parking just behind the driver's car park, which is very close to the Melbourne Walk. But this year, we got shunted to the other side over on the golf course, and that meant a walk of probably some 500-600 metres across a bridge with heavy equipment and across the lake on this.
A bridge? Don't be careful, a boat can come.
Floating bridge, but it avoided us having to take public transport, which after quali and the race was apparently a nightmare all those people, and there were a lot of them, well over 140,000 on both days, trying to get out of probably only a few entrances. Charles Leclerc, or Charles Leclerc, was in an Alfa Romeo Tonale, which is a mid-sized SUV. The Tonale sells for between 51 grand Aussie to 78,000 in US dollars, around 35,000 to 50,000. And yes, it would have been lovely to see those drivers roll up in a Ferrari, but it's quite a dusty drive into the track, and the car park is pretty much just on some lawn. So maybe not typical Ferrari conditions. Let's go to the V-Carb boys. Daniel Ricciardo, a local hero. Last year, we saw him in a Ford out the front doing some ads. Well, actually, he did do some ads for Fords dressed up in a Red Bull racing suit throughout the race weekend, as did Liam Lawson. But what were they driving? Not Fords. They were in Honda Civic Type Rs. And I'll take a punt and say they'll both be driving Type Rs, if not NSXs, in Japan come next race. And not only were they the same models, they were exactly the same colour. The Haas boys had an upgrade from last year's cars. Last year they were in Audi Q5s. This year they upgraded to Q7s, a silver one for Kevin and a blue for Nico. And what a lovely thing it was for both of those drivers to score points in Australia. As I mentioned in my last video, I had them down to finish last, but I think now Alpine's going to have that honour. Were there any more electric vehicles? Yes. Mercedes. Lewis in a Mercedes EQE 53, silver in colour, and the exact same colour and car for George Russell. And Lewis, I was impressed by him doing the Melbourne Walk on at least 3 days, and he may have well done it on the final day. I didn't see him come in. And are there any other tracks that have anything like the Melbourne Walk? No. Austria does have something similar with the green carpet, but it's not quite the size and it doesn't have the reputation as the Melbourne Walk. Oh, and I should say that there are some upgrade plans planned for the Melbourne Paddock for next year, which will be great because at the moment there's probably some limitations on it, and I think we'll look forward to something new and exciting in 2025. Now, Valtteri Bottas, I said, had the most interesting car. I want you to have a look at this.
I love the fashion. I love the food. But mainly, I like to drive here.
That's a new ad he's done for Uber, but he's also carried over that branding to the car he drove into the track. He was driving an Audi Q8, but he had Uber partnership stickers on the side and even a Valtteri Bottas head car fresh.
So I could maybe almost be right with the clown car I said.
Hanging from the rearview mirror. Now there's no doubt that Valtteri has certainly softened up, and he's now happy to have a whole lot of fun with stuff like this. And I think that's what has really endeared him to, well, not only Australians, but particularly Australians, but certainly around the world. And he actually gave me one of his bucket hats, and I have one for him. These are some new bucket hats that, this is my prototype, but it, along with the blue one, will be available at some point. Keep a lookout for them. And his teammate, an Audi RS7.
So
couple to go, so let's go to Williams now. Alex Albon in this Audi Q5, silver in colour, possibly the exact same car as he used last year, because that's what he drove in 2023. Logan Sargent also had an Audi Q5. Now, of course, he came in a lot later than normal on Saturday and Sunday, given that he didn't have to do any driving, and he was pretty relaxed. I have no doubt disappointed he wasn't going to be driving, but that didn't show in his behaviour. And looking through my list here, I think, yes, we only have the McLarens. And were they driving 720Ss?
Yeah, I can skip it.
No, they weren't driving Speedtails either. They were in something a little bit more urban. A Ford Everest for Lando. And on a couple of days, Lando's dad, Adam, rolled up with him, went to the back of the car, grabbed a couple of scooters.
Scooter! Scooter!
And it looks like he's done a collaboration with McLaren. And the size of that rear trunk on the Ford Everest made it possible for Adam to get at least two of those scooters into the rear.
Scooter!
I think we only have one driver left now. Audi Q5 for Oscar Piastri. He walked from the car park on the first day, which gave us a little bit more time to photograph him, and I was surprised to see him wearing a Richmond footy jumper. Now, Australians will know all about that, Americans and people from Europe. This is Australian football. Some of you would never have seen it, have no idea about it, but it's our national sport and draws huge crowds, particularly at the MCG, where on Grand Final Day we'll see over 100,000 people piled into that stadium for the premier game of the year. Oh, and still on the subject of Oscar, I notice now not only does he have a security guard at every race, he also has his brand manager and a new social media content creator. So the Oscar Piastri brand is growing rapidly. And before I go, let me tell you what a few of the team principals were driving. Zach Brown driving one of his competitors' car, a Mercedes V-Class. Fred Vasseur in an Alfa Romeo Giulia Quadrifoglio, the fast one. A couple of Audis. Alessandro.
Wait, who's that? Is that Visa Cash App RB Formula 1 team? Probably.
Andro Bravi driving an S3 and James Vowles in a Q7. Laurent Mekies in a Honda ZR-V.
Oh,
and
no,
finally,
that's
Bruno Famine in a Land Rover Range Rover. You now know what every driver drove to the Australian Grand Prix, and I hope that you will now do me one favour and subscribe for the 50% of you watching that haven't done so yet. And please hit the like button. You'll find a whole host of my content here, along with merchandise, and very shortly, yes, you will see these hats for sale. My sincere thanks for watching, and I urge you to stay passionate.
Yes, true. Okay, that's last clip, and now we are done. Let's see. What will happen tomorrow? I mean, the F1 Nation will probably happen. F1 Nation podcast. I mean, if nothing else will come up tomorrow, that will be the 100%. Yeah. Well, how many days is it left for? Let's see, do we have information on... we can go to this, let's see, there we have it. How many days is that left? Oh my god, is this... oh my god, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. 8 or 9 days, we can say. Man, that's beautiful to see. Ferrari, red and orange. What more would we want to have there? Maybe some green one day. Aston Martin. But yeah, I have nothing more to say. So until